Welcome to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. This is the sound of Stamford Bridge as part of our 5 Live Premier League Sunday coverage. We are going to be here on 5 Sports Extra over the next couple of hours, bringing you live build-up and coverage and full commentary of Chelsea against Newcastle United. The players are just in the tunnel here at Stamford Bridge. It's a glorious late October afternoon. Clear skies overhead. We are way up high in the gantry in the East Stand here with Reece James preparing to lead out his Chelsea side and Bruno Guimaraes preparing to lead out his Newcastle side, just in the tunnel waiting to come out here onto the pitch. Reminder, there are 3 2:00 kickoffs in the Premier League this Sunday here on 5 Sports Extra. We're going to be focusing on Chelsea against Newcastle. Crystal Palace against Tottenham is over on online. You can also listen to that via the BBC Sport website. West Ham United against Manchester United is on 5 Live Sport. We'll try and keep you across the other 2 2:00 kickoffs whilst we're focusing on this game over the next couple of hours. The former Brentford, Rangers and Nottingham Forest manager Mark Warburton's alongside me this afternoon. Mark, this feels like, a game potentially that could have some goals for us this afternoon.
Yeah, you hope so. Very much the perfect setting, that's for sure. 2 teams here. Win for Chelsea puts them into the top, I think 5th, just behind Arsenal. Likewise, a win for Newcastle puts them above Chelsea. So very important. But Newcastle have struggled for goals. Eddie will be looking for a response this afternoon.
Players are now out onto the Stamford Bridge pitch. Dan Burn just jumping up and down, just on his toes, just really trying to psych his teammates up. Just a reminder that both these sides lost in the Premier League last weekend, but you feel that Chelsea will take more from their defeat at Anfield last weekend, Mark, than perhaps Newcastle will do at home to Brighton. Of course, that ended in an 11-game unbeaten run for them in the Premier League, that defeat to Brighton last weekend. And it wasn't perhaps a performance that Eddie Howe would have wanted from his Newcastle side.
No, absolutely. And you look again, as always, there's a huge travelling support come down. The Geordie fan base is so powerful behind them. So they'll be looking for a good performance today. It's a perfect playing surface. Great afternoon for football. And Eddie, absolutely, after that Brighton, a shock result, I have to say, he'll be looking for a strong reaction. Yeah,
1-0 defeat, remember, for Newcastle 7 days ago. As Mark says, the shed end, the away section packed with the black and white jerseys of the Newcastle fans who've really travelled down to support their team this afternoon. We will just run you through the lineups then. A couple of changes from both sides from those defeats last weekend, starting with Chelsea. Sanchez in goal, then Reece James does start again, Chelsea's captain. So his first start here at Stamford Bridge in the league for nearly a year, Mark, and that's going to be a big boost as well, perhaps for Chelsea and for the fans to get behind their captain finally back on the pitch here at Stamford Bridge.
Absolutely, Imagine. You heard the manager's comments. He wants Reece James to be that leader in the dressing room, on the pitch, off the pitch. It's vitally important for Chelsea, and there's no doubt about it. He's a Chelsea guy through and through. His quality is there for all to see, so I'm sure we'll be looking forward, hopefully, to a very strong performance from Reece.
So Reece James part of a back four. Wesley Fofana, one of the 2 changes for Chelsea from that Liverpool defeat in the back four as well, back from suspension. Then Colwell and Gusto making up the back four for Chelsea today. Caicedo and Lavia just in front of them. Then Pedro Neto on the left-hand side. That's the other change for Chelsea today, with Palmer in the midfield, in the middle of the park, and Madueke on the right, and then Nicholas Jackson in front of them. Newcastle making 2 changes, and one of them a big absentee. Anthony Gordon with a groin strain doesn't feature in the matchday squad, Mark, and when we saw the team news and you saw there was no Anthony Gordon, you immediately said that is a huge miss for Newcastle today.
No, you look at Sancho's change for Chelsea, and as I say, he has such a deep squad, but Gordon for Newcastle is a huge loss. His talent has been there, he's been so effective, impacting so many Premier League games, so no doubt that'll be a huge blow to Eddie and his staff.
So the 2 changes for Newcastle coming up front. Almiron on the right alongside Barnes on the left. He comes in instead of the injured Anthony Gordon. Isak through the middle up front. Those are the front 3 ahead of Tonali, Guimaraes and Joel Linton in the midfield, with Livramento, Cher, Burnhall and Pope all unchanged from that Brighton defeat at St James's Park 7 days ago. Chelsea are going to get us underway then in the next couple of seconds. Cole Palmer with the ball just in the centre circle, on the centre spot, all in blue. Chelsea, that dark blue jerseys, dark blue shorts, white socks, familiar home kit. Newcastle actually as well in their all familiar home kit, as the players take a knee ahead of kick-off here as a continued gesture against all forms of discrimination in the game. And now our referee today, Simon Hooper, has indeed got us underway. This is one of 3 2 o'clock kickoffs for you here across BBC Radio 5 Live, 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. Chelsea against Newcastle, the first of the 2 o'clock games to get underway. And as I said, both teams in their all familiar home kits. So Chelsea in the dark blue jerseys and shorts, white socks. Newcastle in their black and white jerseys, black shorts, black socks with the white trim just at the top, and trying to make a positive start with Tonali over on the far side. So Chelsea attacking towards the shed end in this first half, so playing from right to left as we watch, from way up here in the gantry in the East End. Newcastle defending the shed end in this first half, so attacking from left to right as we watch, and trying to really start positively here, Mark.
Yeah, very important for them. I think the first 2 or 3 minutes just set the marker down for the game. But again, looking at the early movement here, Palmer finding space already, so in his very early stages, and now Madueke in space on that right hand side.
Madueke into the area, cut back into the area. Casado and others were there. Just Nicholas Jackson just loitering edge of the 6-yard area. Pope low down manages to gather that one, but Reece James getting forward really well there across the centre of the park as well, Mark.
That's an early warning for Newcastle, Maz, in terms of that. They've got good width, Madueke, but as he drifts inside, Reece James is prepared to go, and he has that pace and power to really impact that right flank.
So early warning signs for Newcastle. We played just 90 seconds and they're off now. They've set Isak on his way down the right hand channel into the area now. The Newcastle United forwards tries the cutback. Joe Linton's there, but it doesn't find him. It's partially cleared by Colwill. Still, Newcastle have possession on this right-hand side with Almiron. Remember, one of 2 changes into the starting 11 for Newcastle today. Finds Tonali in the area. Offside flag goes up on this near side touchline, and it will be a Chelsea free kick.
I think both managers, they'll be quite concerned at the space the opposing team could find. Gomes could half turn and play Isak in there comfortably. He was behind, and in truth, a really poor decision by him from a good area.
So we'll take this opportunity again just to remind you again of the lineups. Chelsea, Sanchez, James starting again, the Chelsea club captain for the 2nd consecutive game in a row in the Premier League, able to start here at Stamford Bridge for the first time in nearly a year. Fofana, one of the changes coming into the Chelsea back four today, available again after suspension as Chelsea on the move again. Casado making really good progress with Jackson now on the right hand side, feeds it to Madueke, shot straight at Pope, low down though, is able to gather that one, not too challenging or taxing that one for the Newcastle United keeper.
No, but great movement by Jackson. They dragged down Burn into an area he didn't really want to go into him, as he had space behind to turn and really exploit Burn's lack of pace. And again, they got a shot on goal. Not the best end finish in product, but certainly again a warning for Newcastle.
So just to complete that Chelsea lineup for you, Colwill and Gusto at the back as Newcastle loop one way forward, which is going to be easily gathered by Levi Colwill back to his keeper Robert Sanchez. Lavia and Casado just in front of that back four, with Pedro Neto, one of the changes for Chelsea coming today down their left hand side. Palmer, Madueke and Jackson, who has been very busy in the early stages. And Chelsea have just won a free kick just inside their own half, which is taken quickly by their captain James, and that's a nice ball forward by Jackson for Palmer to attack into the area and just loops inside the right hand post. A shot from the left of the area, 8 yards out. He had composure, he had time, and he had the precision finish. Chelsea, in a matter of minutes, less than 4 minutes on the clock, have the lead. Chelsea 1, Newcastle 0.
Again, too easy. You saw Jackson take Burn out. It was too easy to turn, exploit space behind. Played in Palmer, great way to pass, good timing of run, and you don't expect him to miss from there really, but far too easy. There's a turn. Burns exposed, lack of pace, and the back line is so open.
And he has the time, doesn't he, there, just to take that extra half second there, Cole Palmer, just to really take the time to place his shot. I mean, he wasn't that instrumental in the game at Anfield last weekend, Mark, because Liverpool really managed to track him and keep him out of the game. But seconds on the clock here. There is a possible VAR check for this goal, by the way. And we are having a little bit of difficulty with our monitor here, but we'll try and keep across this. Mark, from instinct, we're looking at this in real time. Did it look offside to you?
I thought it timed it really well. I thought it was just onside. I'm bound to be proved wrong here, Maz, I'm sure, but it looked to me at the time to be just onside.
To be fair, an arm did go up from, I think it was Cher in the back four for Newcastle. So while we're just having this VAR check, Just remind you again of the Newcastle lineup. 2 changes for them as well today. Pope in goal, Livramento, Cher, Byrne and Hall. The boos ring out because it's taking a long time for Jared Gillett, who is our VAR official today, to make a decision on this goal. Then Tonali, Guimaraes and Joel Linton, the midfield 3. Almiron, one of the changes on the front right for Newcastle. Isak through the middle again. Harvey Barnes on the left. Still no Callum Wilson fit yet for Newcastle. Eddie Howe confirming in the build-up that he is going to be missing a few more games. And that goal has been ruled out as offside. We're not able to see in our monitor here exactly how close that was, but just having a look here at the line now, Mark, and it was the run from Palmer as he was fed in by Jackson there, just marginally ahead of Fabian Cher there.
It gave me some excuse there, Maz. It was the finest of margins on the offside, but you saw Eddie Howe there remonstrating with Dan Byrne. It was far too easy. Second time for Jackson, take him into that area, and they have to resolve that issue.
So that goal from 4 minutes that he thought he had scored, Cole Palmer, has been chalked off. But Chelsea very, very prolific going forward in the early stages here. Just over 6 minutes played, and Chelsea are forced back into their own final third. The ball's back with Sanchez in the goal, fed by Gusto, and real warning signs for Newcastle in the early minutes here. Cole Palmer with a brilliant record here at Stamford Bridge and almost putting Chelsea ahead again. This time it's Jackson who's trying to get forward, and Nick Pope, way out of his area midway through the Newcastle half, is forced to try and direct that one forward. Goes up for a throw-in on this near side touchline. Newcastle lacking a bit of composure. You feel it in the early stages here, Mark.
You sense that the Chelsea really see a lack of pace behind in that Newcastle back four. They're very eager to put that ball through aerially on the floor, and they can see that Burns certainly lacks in some pace, and likewise Shah. So certain area they're going to look to exploit this afternoon.
Loop forward by Casado, picked up though by Hall on the halfway line. Newcastle with the ball out on the left hand side at the moment, with Guimaraes, their captain. Now it's Tonali, centre circle, back to Byrne and Cher, who just marginally managed to keep Palmer from being in an offside position a couple of minutes ago. That disallowed Cole Palmer effort 4 minutes in. Could have been the difference for Chelsea in the early stages here. Still 0-0 at the moment here at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Newcastle here on 5 Sports Extra. No goals to tell you about in the other 2 o'clock kickoffs at the moment either. West Ham, Manchester United, and of course Palace against Tottenham. Newcastle defence being put on some real pressure here, and Joel Linton has to stand up and head that one back to his keeper. They're not really building anything really going forward at the moment, Newcastle. It's
interesting on the press here, as you see Nicholas Jackson working so hard to first press the centre half but then stop the pass into Guimaraes, and you look at Lavia again, eager to jump forward and dispossess Newcastle in a really key area. So at the moment the press is effective for Chelsea.
Madueke has won the ball back with some pressing for Chelsea on the right hand side, back with Casado, then Gusto tried to feed it forward. It is still in Chelsea possession, in the colours of Chelsea in the Newcastle half on this left hand side now, with Pedro Neto, one of the 2 changes for Chelsea today, back to Reece James and then all the way back to Fofana, the other Chelsea change today, just a few yards inside the Chelsea half. But all of Newcastle's outfield players back in a defensive shape at the moment, trying to make it difficult for Chelsea to find space. And now trying a little bit of press themselves, and Joel Linton's done well there to win the ball back, prods it forward there for Barnes to try and run onto on that left hand side, couple of yards outside the dead ball line. Back to Guimaraes, loops up, bobbles off the toe, just wide of Robert Sanchez's post on the left as Guimaraes hit that one, but he didn't quite get the connection he wanted. And I know Sanchez was scrambling a little bit there, Mark, but that one looked quite comfortable for that Chelsea defence. No,
I never thought he was in danger there at all, Maz, but I think really that's the only Newcastle way into the game at the moment, is through Chelsea being poor in the decision making. Lavia was loose there, it turned over, and they pounced on the loose ball. But I think at the moment Newcastle have to be more effective, they have to be more positive decision making, because it's all too comfortable for Chelsea. And
we've got a pause and play here, an injury to a Chelsea player. Looks like it might be Fofana down over on the edge of the 18-yard box. So both sets of players just taking the opportunity here to take on some water. That will be not something Enzo Maresca will want to see. Fofana just back and available today after suspension, and had started pretty brightly as well, Mark.
He had. I'm just looking here. He doesn't look too comfortable, does he? Hopefully we're wrong, and he gets up and recovers quickly. They've got obviously Tosin on the bench to step into that, but no, they'll be very keen for Fofana getting back in. He's so important to the team. His impact is there for all to see. Yeah,
Tosin, one of the two players dropped by Enzo Maresca today, onto the bench alongside Jadon Sancho as well. So those are the two Chelsea players to drop out of their starting 11 today when you compare it to the 11 that played at Anfield last Sunday. And Newcastle, of course, a reminder of that big headline. No Anthony Gordon for them today. He is unavailable with a groin strain. Jacob Murphy, the other player, dropping out of their 11 onto the bench. And Fofana here, back up onto his feet, but not looking entirely comfortable at the moment, does he?
No, he's walking very gingerly there, doesn't he? He doesn't look at all comfortable, trying to loosen up. Now, fingers crossed he's okay. You never want to see a player leave a game any stage, let alone so early in the game. But I think he's moving a little bit better now. Hopefully he can come back into the action.
He's just gone over, just trotted over really to the far side touchline. Wesley Fofana, a couple of Chelsea medical staff with him. I'm sure it'll be a minute or two till Simon Hooper will allow him back onto the field of play. So Robert Sanchez, Chelsea keeper, with the ball in his hands, in his gloves, just the edge of his 18-yard area. We played 11.5 minutes here at Stamford Bridge. It is still Chelsea 0, Newcastle 0. And the goal, Cole Palmer with the ball in the back of the net in the 4th minute. But that effort disallowed because it was very marginally offside in the build-up. Just played offside by Fabian Schär. But Chelsea starting really positively. But Newcastle on the ball at the moment. Joel Linton on the halfway line to Tonali, the centre circle, sends it out to this right-hand side to Livramento. Tries to find Joel Linton running on to that one, and Colwell gets in front of him, puts that one out. Will be a Newcastle ball though, that. A throw in on this near side touchline.
It's a powerful run there. You know, he's a good athlete. This is Joe Linton. Get in behind there and he really caused a problem. Not sure if it's a throw-in or a corner he's run, I think.
It's going to be a corner here. So a corner is going to be taken by Lewis Hall from the right as Newcastle attack towards the Matthew Harding stand in this first half. So first real opportunity for a set piece for Newcastle. 12.5 minutes played here. Corner swept in by Hall. Isak's one of those that goes up for it, but it goes over everyone and out to the far side of the area where Guimaraes picks it up, sends it back to Livramento in the centre circle. Lofted ball forward. Dan Burn's still up there, but it's headed down and away by Fofana and picked up by Jackson on this near side touchline, who allows it to go out for a throw-in. Pretty comfortable defending that from that set piece for Chelsea, Mark.
It really was. I was impressed also by the way they got the press on so quickly. You know, they closed down the defender, the deepest defender with the ball, denied him any true options, and the ball turns over and Chelsea's back in possession.
Sent forward by Colwell up towards the halfway line. Just worth saying, as Fofana is now back on the pitch, that he was also given a yellow card by Simon Hooper. Sort of injured himself in his challenge at the edge of his own 18-yard box, picking up a yellow, but is back on his feet. So first caution of this match is Chelsea are forced to do a bit of defending here now. Newcastle trying to go on the attack down the left-hand side, forced back, and now that noise, that roar you hear is because the ball's been picked up by Cole Palmer in the centre of the Stamford Bridge pitch. He's over the halfway line now, feeding down Pedro Neto down the left-hand side. He's trapped by Livramento, and the attempted cross is blocked and will go out for a Chelsea corner, their first of the match on this left-hand side as they attack the shed end, Mark.
That's a real threat there for Newcastle. You saw Cole Palmer adopting that almost halfway position. The moment that ball turned over and broke down by Newcastle, Palmer's in possession, had far too much space, and obviously the talent that he possesses fed in Neto and they win the corner.
So corner for the left for Chelsea in this first half. Just over 14 minutes played. Reece James, club captain's going to take it. Just raises his left arm, drills that into the area. Pope has to punch that out, and Neto tries to fire that one in direct. A volley, edge of the 18-yard box, but it's blocked again by Newcastle. Goes out for a throw-in on the far side.
Good goalkeeping by Pope there, under pressure from 2 or 3 Chelsea players, but a good clear punch, cleared his lines, and Newcastle swept out behind him, so well defended.
Still 0-0, by the way. Here, still 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Tottenham. You can listen to commentary of that 2 o'clock kickoff on the BBC Sport website and via the app, and it is still 0-0 as well between West Ham and Manchester United. Listen to commentary of that game over on 5 Live. Here at Stamford Bridge, coming up to 15 minutes played. And Newcastle have perhaps settled into this game a little bit more, and Sanchez with a mistake there, feeding the ball straight back to Cher. Now Isak forward into the area, and Newcastle want the penalty, and Guimaraes cannot believe, as he's brought down in the area and is claiming for that one, that it hasn't gone the way of Newcastle. Simon Hooper waving that one away. Guimaraes is still down in the Chelsea area, clutching his leg. He made a really nice run forward, edge of the 18-yard box into the Chelsea area. What did you think about that one, Mark?
I've got to say, I thought it was worth a shout at least. I'm very surprised. I'm watching the management, the Newcastle bench here, not happy at all. But there's an immediate reaction of Newcastle players. We haven't got the chance of the replay to see it, Maz, but certainly worth a good shout.
He is just back up on his feet now. Jared Gillett, of course, at Stockley Park will be having a look at this, but Simon Hooper at the moment is not being told to go and look at the pitch side monitor, so we assume the officials have had another look. No penalty for Newcastle, and Guimaraes is told to get back on his feet by Simon Hooper and get on with it. He's having a little chat with the referee, but pretty emphatic body language from Simon Hooper there. No penalty for Newcastle, and we play on. So a throw in for Chelsea on this near side touchline. Pedro Neto with the ball in his hand, just midway through the Newcastle half. So as Chelsea attack from right to left as we watch. Throws it direct back to Pope, and instruction from our referee.
Got to say, as again, though, it was Chelsea's poor decision making, poor execution, ball turned over too cheaply.
The mistake from Sanchez, wasn't it?
Absolutely,
yeah.
And gave them the opportunity to break again.
Good pressure this from Isak, just forcing Fofana to head that one down back on the turf to his keeper. And Sanchez this time, as Mark was just saying there, maybe he's just going to take a couple of seconds here just to collect his thoughts, because his mistake gave the ball direct to Newcastle a couple of minutes ago and potentially could have led to a Newcastle penalty. Again, ball straight out, straight at Guimaraes, again closing down the Newcastle player. But Chelsea teammates managed to win that one back for their keeper. And Nicholas Jackson off on the attack. Downburn just manages to get the ball away from him to Pope in his D, and the Newcastle keeper sends it out very, very quickly over to the far side. Ball goes out of play for a throw in taken quickly, but again Nicholas Jackson getting himself in these really dangerous positions in this first half.
He is, Maz. More worrying for Chelsea. That's the third time in a row for Sanchez. One he put straight out, that one there straight to Newcastle. It kills momentum for Chelsea and gives some impetus and hope to the opposition.
Harvey Barnes on the ball at the moment, on the far side, on the left, as Newcastle attack in this first half, and Guimaraes couldn't get that one under control in the area, so Chelsea managed to get it clear to Palmer, fed in by Gusto. Now Pedro Neto's off on the overlap, he's got pace, he's outpaced Timo Livramento, and he's gone past Cher, and then Jackson with the finish, and that one will count. The cutback from Pedro Neto, no doubt that one will be a goal on the board for Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson putting them ahead. And on balance, I think Chelsea deserve that. Chelsea 1, Newcastle 0.
Tremendous finish. Again, Cole Palmer picking that ball up in a dangerous area. What a tremendous way to pass in behind the defender. Gets onto Neto, who looked up, took time with his pass, and a great execution, great finish. Well-deserved goal.
Great composure from Pedro Neto. He had the pace. He'd already outpaced Tino Livramento. And then Cher missed the tackle. And then Pedro Neto could get the cut back in for Nicholas Jackson, and he's been getting himself into those kind of positions.
At this level here, Maz, you cannot come across a defender and miss a tackle of that importance. You've got to think he's going to get there. He worked so hard to get across, but you look now's the key challenge. Make sure you win something.
And Cher misses it.
Misses it completely. Nettles across, and a great execution. It wasn't a hard finish, but he made it look very easy and very accomplished.
So Chelsea do have their lead. Remember, a disallowed goal 4 minutes in for Cole Palmer, but he has helped set them up for one that will count this time. 18 minutes played. Nicholas Jackson amongst the goals again, and Chelsea have the lead here at Stamford Bridge. Just waiting to get back underway. So that's the first goal, by the way, in any of the 2 o'clock games. Still 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Spurs, 0-0 between West Ham and Manchester United as well. So first goals in the 2 o'clock has come here at Stamford Bridge, and it's for Chelsea. And it has been a difficult few minutes for Newcastle so far in this match. Ball forward though from Guimaraes though. And just put wide by Almiron. Tried to run onto that down the right hand side of the area, puts it way wide of Sanchez's left hand post though there, Mark.
You have to say Chelsea be the master of their own downfall. If that's the case, they've dominated this game. They're in a deserved lead here, Maz. It shouldn't be too easy for Newcastle to get in behind in that nature. A Chelsea player was off the pitch at the time. He's now back on, but just be tight, concentrate on defending here, and there's so much in charge of this game of football. The manager will be keen to get on for this second goal now.
So just over 20 minutes played. Levi Colwill, I think perhaps listening to Mark Warburton, is just reminding the Chelsea players just to concentrate, just to close down the space in their own half, as Newcastle now are trailing and going to be chasing the equaliser. Reece James easily takes it off the toe of a Newcastle player to Lavia. Now it's forward with the goal scorer Jackson down this left hand side to Neto. Reece James getting forward again. Most of Chelsea's outfield players up in the Newcastle half. It's with Fofana just in the centre circle. Lavia again to Neto down this left hand side where he was a couple of minutes ago when he made that run to set up Jackson for the Chelsea goal, and looking very comfortable on the ball. And this is what Enzo Maresca will want to see now from his Chelsea side. Just composed passing, Mark, just keeping the ball, keeping possession, making it very, very difficult for Newcastle to create anything going forward.
Well, they're making Newcastle work. They're chasing the ball so hard here. They look so comfortable, Chelsea, as I have to say. It's things I'm not focused on Robert Sanchez, but don't kill momentum. When you're dominating a game of this nature, just look after the football, keep moving the ball quickly, and they're posing so many problems for Newcastle right now. Don't give them anything at all.
So Chelsea with the throw in on the far side, attacking from right to left as we watch. Ball forward to Cole Palmer. We couldn't quite get that one under control, but Newcastle winning that ball illegally, according to Simon Hooper, and it will be a free kick for Chelsea for that foul on Cole Palmer just in the centre circle.
Some really good movement here. You're seeing Palmer drop in. He's tempting out Shaw on that occasion. Jackson tempting out Byrne before, and the centre half's been taken to an area they're very uncomfortable here with, Maz, and Chelsea are really exploiting it.
Nice work from Gusto setting up Nicholas Jackson, edge of the D. 1-2 attempt from Chelsea, and then Neto with the follow-up shot straight at Pope though. Some power on that shot, but pretty low, pretty central, pretty easy for Pope to gather that one.
It's too easy right now. I mean, Eddie Howe, I'm sure, look at the clock, he'd take 1-0 at half-time the way this game's going, because it's far too comfortable for Chelsea, and the second goal looks ominous.
Still 1-0 though, midway through this first half now. Newcastle really going to try and have to build from the back with Tonali on this right-hand side. Now Guimaraes switches play over to the left-hand side, but that ball doesn't find Joel Linton. Armand goes up an apology from the Newcastle number 7, and it's with Caicedo in the centre circle. Lavia, Palmer, just pauses, sends it back to Lavia and Caicedo. And Chelsea just able to slow down this game, the pace of this game, with this goal advantage now, and now try and an injection of pace coming forward now. Palmer sending Madueke now down the right hand side, the cross into the area. Newcastle just about get it clear. Jackson was one of those 3 Chelsea players up there, and then Gusto's shot edge of the D is blocked, but still Chelsea come again. Caicedo, Madueke's back gathering that one midway through the Newcastle half over on the far side, the right, as they attack the shed end in this first half. Switches played to the left with Neto. Reece James, the Chelsea captain, really getting involved in the first 24 minutes of this match. Lavia. The pattern of play is just, it's all going Chelsea at the moment, isn't it, Mark? As you say, as they can keep the mistakes out of the game, they're just dominating possession at the moment.
They really are. It's ominous for Newcastle here, Maz, in terms of the fact that Chelsea are really enjoying themselves. Palmer's finding the pockets between the defensive unit and the midfield unit of Newcastle. It's too easy for him right now, finding space so frequently. Again here, he picks it up, no one's near him, centre half's not sure whether they go. Right now they have to try and resolve this problem, because otherwise it'll be a long afternoon for Newcastle. Unmarked
Cole Palmer, unmarked Reece James. A couple of passes between the two, and then Palmer just jogs past Isak to feed it into Fofana, and then Lavia in the centre circle, and Madueke now sets Gusto off again down the right. Chelsea cross into the area, cleared by Dan Burn, picked up by Madueke again down that Chelsea right into the area, headed out by Cher this time. Again though, blue of Chelsea shirts pick up possession, still inside Newcastle's half. Reece James crosses the ball over to the far side again for Gusto. just pauses, assesses his options. 3 or 4 Chelsea players options going forward. Caicedo back to Gusto down that right. Caicedo again, a few yards outside the D. Now James getting forward so much, the Chelsea captain, in the early stages. Consider how little football he's played. He's had such an influence in this match as ball does go out of play, or does it? Chelsea continue to play, and Gusto couldn't get that one under control. Cross came in from the left from Pedro Neto. Chelsea continue to play. Newcastle thought that one had gone out of play, but they're just sharper and quicker to everything at the moment, it seems, Chelsea.
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, that's what will worry Eddie Howe and will really disappoint the Newcastle fans, is that they're winning first ball, they're picking up second ball, they're winning challenges, they're sharper and quicker to the ball. They're simply working harder than Newcastle right now. And there's many times you're under the cosh, but you have to make sure you at least match the work rate. And right now, Chelsea are way ahead in all departments.
Free kick, though, given away midway through the Newcastle half. Reece James, we talk about how little football he has played over the last, year really, Mark, but what an influence the Chelsea captain has had in the first 26 minutes of this match. I mean, he's been everywhere, it seems.
He's a tremendous play, covers the ground so well. It's a real Rolls Royce of an athlete, and I think, again, he's enjoying being back, enjoying being fit, and enjoying his football, which is great for everyone to see. But as I say, going back here, that's the only way Newcastle get in this game, is by a poor decision by a Chelsea player, and the ball turns over loosely.
Has gone out of play, the ball for a throw in on the far side. Madueke just urging a little bit of applause and support from the Stamford Bridge crowd, and the ball is fed back quite comfortably by Chelsea to Robert Sanchez in their 18-yard box. He spreads it out to this left hand side up towards the halfway line to Pedro Neto, but Cole Palmer can't get there, and then Newcastle do manage to win the physical battle to win it back. Forward to Isak. Is he offside? Play continues. Newcastle in the area. Tonali, shot blocked. Chelsea eventually scramble it here. Picked up by Livramento, though. Into the area again. Go Newcastle. And then the shot from Almiron straight at Sanchez, and he's able to get that one clear, the Chelsea keeper. But again, more mistakes from Chelsea, just putting themselves under a bit of pressure, as you alluded to, Mark.
It's an unnecessary pressure, as it really is. I admire the fact they got 4 players around Almiron, won the ball back, but again it turned over cheaply, and suddenly Isak's in a great position, and that's the only way. Newcastle are so far out of this game, but in truth they've had 1 or 2 chances given to them by Chelsea. Madueke
into the area, and the ball is blocked as he tried to get the cross in from the left for another Chelsea corner. Gusto and Madueke really linking up well done that right hand side as Chelsea trapped the shed in this first half. They're going to have a corner from the right as they attack. Cole Palmer is just walking over to take that then, and we've already seen 1 punch from Nick Pope from a corner, and he's been under a bit of pressure. I imagine Chelsea will try and put the Newcastle keeper under some pressure again from this one. So Palmer from the right, 28 minutes played here at Stamford Bridge. Another punch from Pope, that one almost dipping in under his crossbar, but he manages to get that one clear. And then Guimaraes goes down under a challenge from Fofana as the Chelsea defender tried to win the ball back. Free kick, Newcastle.
No, well done Pope again, under a lot of pressure. He's complaining to Simon Hooper. He felt it was unjust pressure, but well defended, good punch clear, and they win the free kick. But again, I'm looking at the quality of Chelsea going forward, man. They look so impactful. Their movement is so sharp, so quick. They're posing so many problems here for Newcastle.
Nearly half an hour played, struggling to think of any real opportunity that Newcastle have been able to put together really going forward. Such has been Chelsea's impressive start and dominance in this match. Newcastle on the ball at the moment. Joelinton winning a free kick just inside the Newcastle half, brought down by Caicedo. A couple of ironic cheers from the shed end, housing of course the Newcastle fans. Still 0-0 in the 2 other 2 o'clock kickoffs, by the way. Still Crystal Palace 0, Tottenham 0, West Ham 0, Manchester United 0. That goal in the 18th minute from Nicholas Jackson here, the only one today so far in the Premier League. Free kick then for Newcastle, coming up to half an hour played, a couple of yards inside their own half, over on the far left as they attack from left to right as we watch in this first half. And Lewis Hall is just taking a bit of time to take this free kick, lofts it up then towards the D. Dan Burns up there trying to win the header. Almiron picks up the ball on this right hand side. Now Guimaraes Caicedo tracks him, but he finds Tonali on the right-hand side, and he can't get the cross in. Cole Palmer puts the ball out of play, but it will be another Newcastle corner, and these opportunities are perhaps going to be the best way for Newcastle to try and find something in this first half, Mark.
Absolutely agree. As I say, it's just on the back of Chelsea giving the ball away loosely or being slack in possession, but they need to exploit it, Maz. As I say, Chelsea could be 2 or 3 ahead right now, 1 disallowed as you mentioned earlier in the game, but they need to maximise these set pieces.
It's a corner from the right as Newcastle attack in this first half, taken by Hall, drilled in, and Isak can't get that one under control, and it's a wasted opportunity from a Newcastle perspective, who have really not offered very much at all going forward so far in this match. 31 minutes played, and Enzo Maresca, I'm sure, will be delighted. As we said, Mark, ahead of kick-off, yes, they lost at Anfield last weekend, but it felt like there were lots of positives for Enzo Maresca to take from the manner of their performance at Anfield last week.
No, absolutely. Look at their record in the last 20-25 games, man. It's been very impressive, but as I say, lots to take from the game. A disappointing result for sure, but I'm looking here this afternoon and you can see a clear pattern, their pressing desire, the timing of their movement, and they have so much quality going forward. In truth, it's both defences which look quite vulnerable, and if Newcastle are a bit more poised, a bit more quality possession, it could maybe exploit that Chelsea defence. Yeah,
they've forced a couple of mistakes from Chelsea, Newcastle, but haven't really done very much with it. Tino Livramento feeding in Guimaraes on the ball, back to Livramento in the centre circle. He skips past Lavia, and now Joe Linton feeds it out again to Livramento. Harvey Barnes now down the left into the area, and Isak with the ball in the back of the net, and the offside flag stays down, and just like that, Newcastle are level. They've created very, very little in this first half, but suddenly they put the passes together, and it's a simple finish, a yard or so out for Alexander Isak. 1-1 here at Stamford Bridge.
That's why we love the game, as he goes completely against the run of play. It's their first real involvement there. They get their reward. The Newcastle fans go crazy on the far side here, on the left-hand side. But again, Chelsea have dominated this game completely for half an hour, and yet find themselves pegged back at 1-1.
It really has been, when you really think about it, Mark, probably the only real passage of play going forward with composure that Newcastle have put together in this first half. 32 minutes we waited for it, but 32 minutes they're level 1-1.
Yeah, and again, that's the first time you saw the fullback overlap. So Harvey Barnes picked it up, started the drive inside, good movement from Hall, picked out his man, and they get the rewards. Here we are, 1-1, but it's a game they should be out of sight almost, Chelsea.
Another VAR check, almost inevitable really. It was a couple of yards out, so we will wait to see what Jared Gillett says at Stockley Park about this one. Just to say that goals have been scored elsewhere then in the 2 o'clock kickoffs here in the Premier League today. Jean-Philippe Mateta has put Crystal Palace 1-0 up against Tottenham. Half an hour played there. Feels like that could be a big goal for Crystal Palace this season so far, Mark.
No, it's been a tough start for them, hasn't it? Oliver Glasner, after the way he ended last season. It's been a really tough start to this season, but they've got some good quality there. Look at the players, Mateta, Eze, etc. So it's a big goal this afternoon.
So 31 minutes played there. Palace with the lead then at Selhurst Park. And it is still 0-0 between West Ham United and Manchester United. It seems every week we talk about the pressure of Erik ten Hag and what he is under and the focus that is on him at the moment. And at the moment here, it is still Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1, but there is a lengthy VAR check taking place.
We say every week, Matt, I don't know why it takes quite so long here. I mean, you can hear the frustration of the fans. Newcastle fans are cheering, Chelsea fans are somewhat bemused, and they're clearly given a goal here.
That roar you hear is from the packed Newcastle section of the shed end, because that Alexander Isak goal will stand, and it is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. And we're just having a look here at the lines that have just been drawn, and actually compared to the Chelsea disallowed goal, Mark, that was a clear space. I don't know why it took them so long to come to that decision.
Honestly,
frankly.
I've no idea. It frustrates everyone in the stadium, doesn't it? But we got there in the end, I guess.
So a bit of a twist in the tail in this first half so far here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea really dominating here on 5 Sports Extra, with the ball in the back of the net twice, 1 disallowed, 1 that counted from Nicholas Jackson. They've been in their first real move forward that they've put together. Newcastle are level. Alexander Isak. And how are Chelsea going to respond with 10 minutes to go until half-time?
They need to respond with more of the same, as recognise how dominant they were, how well they were playing, pick up these balls here, win these first challenges as they're doing here, find Palmer in the pockets, and he can create so much from that key area.
Suddenly there seems to be a bit of energy about Newcastle's pressing now, and Lewis Hall has pushed the ball out of play on the far side for a throw-in. He's claiming that one, but it will be a Chelsea ball inside Newcastle's half over on the far side. Fed by Gusto to Caicedo. Now across to this left-hand side. James to Pedro Neto. Jackson, but this time Downburn gets there. But the clearance after he sends it back to his keeper is not one maybe Pope will want to have a look again on the replay monitors. And it goes out for a Chelsea throw-in, which Cole Palmer takes quickly on this left-hand side. Lavia with Fofana in the centre circle. Now Gusto all the way back to Sanchez. And for all their dominance, Chelsea, yes, they've had the ball in the back of the net twice, but Nick Pope has looked pretty composed, pretty concentrated. I know there was just that moment there where he put the ball straight out of play for a throw-in, but the two performances of the keepers have been perhaps differing this first half. Chance there for Caicedo, though, well, wide and off target in the end, running onto that one in the D. Nick Pope didn't even move for that one.
No, but you're right, but he was such a huge loss last season. His injury really impacted Newcastle and their overall performance, but you've seen his quality today on two key punches. But there, again, Newcastle giving the ball away in the key area, edge of their defensive third, and Chelsea, in truth, should have had a better quality finish.
Caicedo blasting high and wide, so a goal kick which Pope takes his time to take. Sends it to the right to Cher, who loops it forward up towards the halfway line. Headed down by Almiron and then Isak. Then referee gives the free kick. There's a high boot in there.
But again, you saw the almost terrified centre halves, the space in behind and the lack of pace. I'm sure Chelsea just keep doing more of the same. Jackson, Palmer, Neto, all keen, Madueke, all keen to get in behind, and no doubt it'll impact the game in the second half.
Worth mentioning as well the terrible record that Newcastle have here at Stamford Bridge. In the last 29 Premier League games they have played here at Stamford Bridge, they have only won one of those, and that was back in 2012. So that goal, that equaliser, really has given them something to build on at a venue in a stadium where they have had very, very little success over the last decade or so. And they've got some defending to do here. Madueke on the ball on the far side on the right. It's Chelsea chat the shed in this first half. Now Augusto hoops it to Reece James more centrally, forced back towards the centre circle. Goes down under a challenge from Almiron. Stays down, the Chelsea captain.
But as a Newcastle fan, I'd want to see that. I'd want to see that desire to snap in the tackle and try and win the ball back. Never to hurt the play, of course not. But you need to see some challenges. Right now, they've been second best in every department. They've got their goal completely against the run of play, but they've got to be better at the basics here.
Yeah, they've got to be brighter, a bit more energised. And of course, the kind of player that you would want for Newcastle in this scenario would be Anthony Gordon. But a reminder, he is not in the matchday squad today. He is out with a groin problem. And you wonder how significant an absence that could be for Newcastle as this game develops. 7 minutes plus stoppage time to go to half-time. 1-1 here on 5 Sports Extra at Stamford Bridge. And the noise you can hear at the moment is from the Newcastle fans in the shed end, because they are delighted to see their side at 1-1. And they've been really under the cosh for much of this first half. Lewis Hall just tries to prevent the ball going out of play on the far side. And in fact, he gets the last touch off a Chelsea shirt, and it will be a Newcastle goal kick.
I think their fans are more astonished than delighted. The fact they're still in this game here. But I think looking back at what Chelsea have done well in the first half an hour at least is to move the ball quickly with a real pace and purpose to what they do, and they need to maintain that, because at the moment when they do it, Newcastle can't get near them.
Chelsea making so many changes, by the way, from their Thursday night game against Panathinaikos. Pedro Neto, the only player that remains in the side today that played in that match, in that victory on Thursday night. So tiredness will not be a factor, you do not think, for Chelsea in this match. Falls back into their own half. Colwell back to Sanchez, just the edge of his area. Guimaraes, the furthest forward player for Newcastle, but here goes Cole Palmer on the counter for Chelsea. Nice ball out to Madueke on the right hand side, comes into the D now, finds Pedro Neto free, 16 yards or so out. And then the ball loops off Tino Livramento, corner for Chelsea. But again, Pedro Neto's getting himself in some really dangerous positions as well.
He is, Maz, but again you saw Cole Palmer drop into that. Shah didn't want to go, was caught in two minds, and again Palmer can get on the half turn, play forward, has got his spread to play out wide. He's so effective and so dangerous right now.
Concern for Newcastle there, because Pedro Neto was found really unmarked in the Chelsea, as Chelsea went on the attack in the Newcastle area. Corner taken by Reece James from the left. A couple of Newcastle players go up to try and head that one away, but picked up again by Chelsea. Back with Caicedo midway through the Newcastle half as they build again, trying to go ahead again before half time. Looped up by Cole Palmer up towards the edge of the area. Colwell's up there, sent in from the right by Chelsea, blocked again by Dan Burn this time, and then Tino Livramento with the header. But again, blue shirts up in the Newcastle half. Picked up again by Caicedo, sent out on to the far right. Sense of urgency now. Stamford Bridge crowd cheering on their players. Deflected ball, effort from distance from Madueke, I think it was, and Pope had to be sharp to pull that one away round his right post.
No, he did, but it's too easy again. They're moving the ball with that, as I say, pace and purpose around the defensive third of Newcastle, and they can't really get to the ball and close them down. They really should be in control of this game, and the 1-1 really is, as I say, more than a surprising result right now.
More than a flattering scoreline for Chelsea. Just having a look at this, it was Neto actually with the strike from distance that took a big deflection, which caused some danger for Pope. Corner from the right, taken by Reece James, again punched out by Nick Pope, who's probably been one of Newcastle's star performers in this first half, given the way that the pattern of play of this match has gone so far. Caicedo loops it into the edge of the area. It's partially cleared again by Newcastle, but still Chelsea come. 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time to go in the first half here at Stamford Bridge. This is the Premier League. This is 5 Sports Extra. It is 1-1 between Chelsea and Newcastle, and you can hear the home supporters urging on their team, trying to get them to move ahead in this first half again. Such has been their dominance in this first half. Can Chelsea have to do a bit of defending here? Harvey Barnes off on the counter, brought down by Lavia. No free kick, says the referee. And in fact then indicates it goes the other way as Barnes, frustrated, tries to win back the ball, and it will be a Chelsea free kick.
The fair play to Barnes, as he's getting the players up the pitch. He was running with the ball hard, and again he gave 40-50 yards.
Sorry, Mark. It was just Madueke was on the charge going forward just outside the area. Looked like it could be a dangerous one for Newcastle to try and defend, but Pope very quick out of his area, cleared that danger very effectively. Yeah,
tough time for Simon Hooper here. He's got Newcastle fans berate about lack of free kick for Harvey Barnes, and likewise Chelsea now far from happy. The manager, Dan says, you can see with the fourth official, not impressed at all with that decision making.
Very quick though from Nick Pope, out very quickly from his area. And now Newcastle trying to put Sanchez at the other end under a bit of pressure. 2.5 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Stands around us here at Stamford Bridge is starting to empty out a little bit. Fans going down onto the concourse for half time. Want to get in line for the drinks, for the snacks.
They have to be disappointed, don't they? And frustrated. They have to be here. They've watched their team dominate for 40 odd minutes of the first half, and yet only find themselves sharing the spoils as we currently stand. So disappointing time for them, but more of the same in the second half, and Chelsea should be in total control. And
it goes without saying, as Guimaraes was trying to run onto the ball, and then Simon Hooper's indicated that Chelsea have given away the foul in the Newcastle half. Pedro Neto can't quite believe that one. It goes without saying, Mark, the strength and depth that Chelsea have got on their bench to be able to bring on the kind of players that could really up the tempo in the second half.
Incredibly. You look at the value of the bench alone, as it's quite frightening to other opponents, but got the depth. There's players not even making the squad, the likes of Dewsbury Hall today, which is staggering, but it shows what they have at Chelsea here, and you've got a manager now who's starting to get this style of play. His beliefs really impressed on the team and the players here, and it's having an impact. They look very good for long periods of this first half. They need to get the rewards now.
Well, Newcastle trying to get forward there. Decent ball from Joel Linton. Tonali, the only Newcastle outfield player up though, attacking that one in the Chelsea final third, and Sanchez comfortably gets it clear. Back up towards the halfway line, but again Newcastle pick up possession. Isak, the goal scorer for Newcastle, drawing them 1-1 level, remember, in this first half here at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. getting involved as Newcastle try to build from the right. But Chelsea get it clear, and then Pedro Neto goes down under a Guimaraes challenge. Referee allows play to continue. Cher feeds it to his captain Guimaraes on the halfway line. Now with Dan Burn, now Lewis Hall over on the far side. He's been very bright in this first half for Newcastle, Lewis Hall, hasn't he?
He has. He's getting forward there. Very good footballer, very good technical player as well. So he needs to be more involved. But they need a period of decent possession, Maz, really, just to try and take the sting out of Chelsea, because at the moment, every time Chelsea play forward, they look so dangerous.
And the fourth official has just held up the board for 7 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half, which we are into. And that'll be for a couple of VAR checks that we've had. One for the disallowed Cole Palmer goal, one for the Alexander Isak goal. The equaliser for Newcastle that stood. A period of pause in play as well for treatment on Wesley Fofana, who of course went down for Chelsea in the early stages here. About the first yellow card of this match. Worth saying as well that Fabian Schär has picked up a caution for Newcastle in this first half. But given the way that this game has panned out so far, they will be delighted, as you say, Mark, to go in at 1-1. If it does stay, we've still got 6+ minutes of stoppage time to go in this first half. But what do you think the message will be to Eddie Howe and his players at half time?
I think Eddie will be frustrated at the way they've not done the basics very well at all. They've been outrun, outfought, out-challenged throughout this first half, so they can resolve that. Tactically, they've got to try and resolve Cole Palmer. He's finding too much time and space and being far too effective right now.
And they've got a bit of defending to do again here at Newcastle. Again, it was a dangerous cross looped in from the right, which Pope had to sort of dig out from underneath his crossbar, in the process conceding another Chelsea corner, which again will be taken from the left as Chelsea attack the shed. So just in front of those Newcastle fans in this first half. We played a minute and a half of the 7 of stoppage time at the end of this first half. Still 1-1, but Chelsea going to score at the end of this first half. Looped in over to the far side and headed out by a Newcastle player. It will be another Chelsea corner, this time from the right.
Clear ploy there. You watch Lavia makes that late movement to go and block Pope. Pope's not happy at all and having words with the referee. I understand his frustration there. Lavia's really pushed it to the limits, but it's effective, and they put 5 corners in a row into the same area.
We saw Manchester City employ similar tactic, didn't we, last weekend against Wolves? So it's certainly a talking point at the moment in the Premier League. How much pressure is fair pressure to put the goalkeepers under? And Lavia's there again with Pope. His corner swept in from the right this time by Palmer. Takes no chances, Pope. Two-handed fist pump there to put that one out over his crossbar. And again, it'll be a 3rd consecutive Chelsea corner in first half stoppage time.
Truth of it is, Magic, they're going to allow that to happen from the outfield players, and the goalkeepers must be free to go through the players and dominate their areas. So, as you say, it will be interesting to see what the outcome of this is.
So another corner for Chelsea from the right. Another corner going to be taken by Cole Palmer. He sends it in over to the far side of the area. Pope, very strong that time to keep hold of that one, under a little bit of pressure from Wesley Fofana, but pretty confident goalkeeping that from Nick Pope.
He performed well, good collection. That's what your defenders want to see. Last few minutes of the first half, they've been completely outplayed, so very pleasing performance by Pope.
So Pope holding on to that one. Newcastle in possession at the moment. Cher sends it forward up towards the centre circle, but it's a loose pass by Newcastle, and Chelsea tried to go on the attack. Madueke can't get that one under control. Joelinton sends it forward. Almiron, the only outfield player for Newcastle up in Chelsea's half, and Sanchez very quickly out of his area, heads that down towards his defence, and they will try and build again from the back with Gusto just over the halfway line now, over on the right hand side. Ball does not find Madueke. Instead, Hall cuts that one out to Guimaraes. Now Tonali. Cher. 3.5 minutes of the 7 of stoppage time at the end of this first half played. By the way, still Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0 at Selhurst Park, and it is still West Ham 0, Manchester United 0 at the London Stadium. And a reminder, you can listen to commentary of both of those matches right now. 5 Live Sports, where you'll find West Ham against Manchester United, online for Palace against Tottenham. Harvey Barnes in possession on the left-hand side, but really good defensive work from Malo Gusto there to dispossess him. Very confident defending from the Chelsea player.
He's working hard, a lot of unselfish work. You saw when Jackson pressed, Bern Lavia was keen to jump onto Gimaresh and prevent that ball out for Newcastle. So there's a lot of really hard work, often unseen.
The frustrated noises, atmosphere are coming from the home fans because, as we've discussed many times in this first half, myself and Mark Warburton, and Chelsea have given away a free kick here in their half. It will be a decent opportunity for Newcastle to attack this.
I'm not sure it's a free kick, Mez. I think he might just stop play there. I could be wrong on this. I don't think he's given a free kick to Newcastle.
Well, Isak went down. Just a coming together between him and Levi Colwell there.
But as you rightly said, Eddie Howe will be delighted to get the judgment 1-0 after this first 45 minutes.
So play resumes. Chelsea with possession in their own half, going off in the counter again. Gusto feeding Madueke on the right hand side again, trapped by Lewis Hall. Joe Linton's there as well, very closely following this Chelsea attack. A 1-2 between him and Gusto, and Jackson's up there 8 yards out, but it's headed out by Cher. And then the offside flag went up on the far side, and it will be a Newcastle free kick. 90 seconds then plus stoppage time to play, and this is going to be certainly halves like this when you are so under the cosh as Newcastle have been in this first half. I guess that's another thing for Eddie Howe. It's something for them to build on. It's been grit, it's been determination to keep it at 1-0 and then to take the one chance they had at the other end, Mark.
No, you've got to take the positive. You have to. You've got a 45 minutes, the second half to look forward to. They've ridden a real storm for the bulk of the vast majority of the first half here, and they're still sitting at 1-1 and sharing the spoils as we speak. So no much to take in that respect, but they've got to solve a few major obvious issues, most importantly Cole Palmer.
Yeah, we're into the last minute of the 7 added at the end of this first half, and Newcastle trying to keep the ball under control in the Chelsea half. Harvey Barnes coming together with Casado there. And the referee has blown the whistle for the free kick. Casado stayed down. Bit of a painful one, that, just bottom of his back.
Yeah, I think he got across the ball, didn't he? Across the line of play here, and he certainly caught that lower back. But a dangerous position here for Newcastle.
Yeah, an interesting set-piece opportunity perhaps this for Newcastle. Deep on the left-hand side. About 25 yards out as they attack from left to right in this first half. And all of the Newcastle outfield players are just up at the edge of the D, loitering at the edge of the Chelsea 18-yard box. It looks like it's going to be Lewis Hall who might take this. Tonali's there as well. Tino Livramento's back as well, centre of the Chelsea half. It is Lewis Hall who sweeps it into the Chelsea area. But Dan Burn gets ahead on that, but it loops up high and is easily gathered by Robert Sanchez. And that is the half-time whistle. And it is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1 at half-time. Chelsea dominating possession with the ball in the back of the net after just 4 minutes through Cole Palmer. A VAR check ruling that one offside. Nicholas Jackson, though, putting Chelsea ahead 14 minutes later, but with their first real attack of the match, Mark Warburton, Alexander Isak giving Newcastle, well, a very flattering 1-1 draw at half-time here at Stamford Bridge.
It's the madness of football. It's why we love the game, isn't it? And again, they were completely outclassed. They've got their goal on a rare foray forward. And Chelsea were going frustrated. As you rightly said, the fans were not booing by any means, but they were disappointed. They weren't 2 or 3 goals ahead. They were very good for long periods. So much quality going forward, Chelsea. And the manager were looking for more of the same second half. So
we will be back for second half commentary here shortly on 5 Sports Extra, just to bring you up to speed with the other 2 o'clock kickoffs. It is still Chelsea 1. Crystal Palace 1 rather, Tottenham 0, West Ham 0, Manchester United 0. We will be back for the second half shortly here on 5 Sports Extra, here at Stamford Bridge, here high up in the East Stand gantry. But during half-time, we're going to join 5 Live with news of the rest of the day's action. At half-time here at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1.
and Man U, isn't it? No one wants to lose that game. He's a really nice kid as well. Really.
Now, as you know, today's match is marking the Premier League's No Room for Racism initiative, as we highlight the ongoing commitment to tackle all forms of discrimination and promote diversity within football. Now, all of us at Chelsea Football Club would like to pay tribute to Lord Herman Owsley, the former chair of Kick It Out and a tireless campaigner against discrimination in football, who sadly passed away earlier this month. Now, from one trailblazer to another, this man, the one and only Paul Canoville, a true Chelsea legend. And it was recently announced that the Chelsea Foundation had signed a 3-year partnership with the Paul Canoville Foundation. Now, you know Paul is a true legend, the first black player to play for this fantastic football club, and has been campaigning tirelessly ever since Stamford Bridge. Please show some love. The one, only, Mr. Paul Canoville.
When was he playing? Oh, what, drums about 70s, 80s?
Well, it's so good to see you. First of all, a bit more on this partnership that we announced with the Chelsea Foundation. Tell us a bit more about it and what it enabled you to do with the Paul Canoville Foundation.
You know what, Lee? It starts with attending workshops that we've been doing for so many years. I just gave them the advantage to do some more, and it's to help our young kids to have their life skills. So that's the main problem.
Obviously, the president, you know, is breaking down barriers through education. Tell us a bit more about that, what that means to you and the foundation as a whole.
Proudly, to be honest, this is so important to me. Everybody knows how my life has been. It's been an up and down, but to have this kind of belief for our foundation, this has been a dream come true. It goes on. We're doing so much, and what we believe with the kids, that they can believe and have respect. It is about respect. giving respect and having respect.
It's a really good point because we've come so far, Paul, but how far is there to go?
Everybody knows my story. It's different days when I was playing league.
Spurs are losing to pace. Are they?
I still believe we've got some more to do. But I know the Paul Cannaville Foundation and the Chelsea Foundation, we can make a difference.
Team not scoring enough goals for
And finally, it's an incredible partnership. Paul, what would you say to those members of the Chelsea Foundation?
I like to thank the board, the executives, the Chelsea Foundation, for giving us support. It makes Chelsea Road not just me, the whole staff, the volunteers, but also, I want to say, is to thank the fans that's been supporting me still with my ups and downs. You're still here showing me the love, and it's the Blue family team, and we're still running team. All right?
Paul, first of all, congratulations on the incredible work done by yourself and the foundation. Chelsea Football Club, please put your hands together one more time for the man, the legend, Mr. Paul Cannaville.
He was a winger. He wasn't special.
Okay, the big names keep on coming here at Stamford Bridge. It doesn't get much bigger than this, does it? Chelsea women against Manchester City women here on the 16th of November with a 5:30 p.m. kickoff. Ticket prices on sale on the big screen now. We want to see as many of you here as possible. And from the stars of today to the ones of the future as well, make sure you support the next generation. Our under-21s take on Arsenal down at Kings Meadow this coming Friday, November the 1st. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff. Okay, elsewhere today, the Unschools in the Premier League up on the big screen. You'll enjoy this. Crystal Palace 1, Scotland 0. And it's going West Ham 0, Manchester United 0. Okay, just before we welcome the players back out for the second half, a few half-time shout-outs for you. First up, very happy 78th birthday to Arthur Dunn. That's from the Lauren and family. Happy 80th birthday to the boys Scripps in the East Upper today. Loads of love from Gary and Steve and all your friends and family. Happy 12th birthday to Nathan Lewis, his first ever visit to Stamford Bridge. Happy 40th birthday and first visit once again to the bridge to Dan Cushman, all the way to Connecticut in the USA. Happy birthday to Anthony Daly, that's loads of love from Sharon. Happy birthday to Jaden Martin, and finally wishing Gina a very special 18th birthday today. Loads of love from mum and dad and sisters Leonor and Ines and brother Sebastian. She's in attendance with dad and they're in the shed today. Happy birthday to each and every one of you and to anyone else celebrating with us here today.
Welcome back to 5 Sports Extra. The players are back out on the pitch here at Stamford Bridge. Hello again from me, Maz Faruqi. I'm here at Stamford Bridge alongside the former Brentford Rangers and Nottingham Forest manager Mark Warburton. It is 1-1 at half-time in this 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League here on 5 Sports Extra between Chelsea and Newcastle. A first 45 minutes that was dominated by Chelsea, but Newcastle with a rare attack forward, finding an equaliser through Alexander Isak, 32 minutes on the clock after Nicholas Jackson had put Chelsea ahead in the 18th minute. And we're just looking here now, Mark, as the players come out for the second half. No substitutions by either side at half-time, it seems, but you wonder if things stay as they are, how long it might be before Enzo Maresca might look to his bench.
Well, he's got a very powerful bench, as you mentioned earlier in the commentary. But I think the key thing for me is what Newcastle do here. If they change tactically, what do they do to try and stop the space being created by Cole Palmer and of the impact that he has? So these first 4 or 5 minutes will be very key for us.
So the referee, Simon Hooper, has got us underway here in the second half here at Stamford Bridge. So it is 1-1 here on 5 Sports Extra here at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Newcastle. And they're already underway in the second half. So the other 2 o'clock games today in the Premier League, and you can hear them either on 5 Live, West Ham, Manchester United. It's goalless in that one, or via the BBC Sport website and app for Crystal Palace against Tottenham. And Crystal Palace have a 1-0 lead in that match. And then, of course, at 4:30, it's the big one this weekend, Arsenal against Liverpool. Full commentary as well to come on 5 Live Sport. We have all the action across all 4 games in the Premier League this Sunday for you right here on BBC Radio 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra here at Stamford Bridge. Just to remind you then of the 2 teams, no substitutions made by either Enzo Maresca or Eddie Howe at half-time. So Chelsea lining up with Sanchez in goal, then a back four which includes their captain starting here at Stamford Bridge for the first time in nearly a year. Reece James, Fofana, Cole and Gusto. Lavia and Caicedo as Cole Palmer's given space again, shaking the head from Mark Warburton. Shot into the area, into the back of the net. Simple as that, goes straight through Nick Pope. He's allowed the space, he's allowed the time, and he shows the pace and the precision to fire it past Nick Pope. Seconds on the clock in the second half. Chelsea are ahead again 2-1.
Naz, I've got to say, I cannot believe what I'm seeing here from a Premier League team, that they allow a player of Palmer's quality so much time, so much space. He can run unchallenged and almost pick his spot. It's the same as the first half just continued into the second half. We spoke just now about how they would deal with him. Well, there's the answer for you. He's
given so much space, loads of free time. Defenders afraid to close him down, and he picks his spot perfectly. Could Nick Pope have done better with this one?
Just about to say that. I think the keeper will be disappointed to be beaten on his near post there, so he is running at him. But look at how can Shah allow a player of Palmer's quality to just take his time and pick his spot? The keeper should do better. That should be covered at the near post. There's no doubt about that. You did right, Maz. But certainly defending was shocking from Newcastle.
Well, seconds on the clock in this second half. Just over a minute. In the 47th minute then, Cole Palmer has put Chelsea ahead again. How often do they look to him to provide the spark? And he's provided it again in the opening seconds of the second half here on 5 Sports Extra. Chelsea with the lead again. And I didn't even have time to finish running you through their 11 for this match. Joelinton on the ball at the moment, just inside Newcastle's half. Charge off the ball by Chelsea. Good work by Caicedo, setting off Madueke down the right-hand side as Chelsea attack from left to right in the second half. Caicedo thought about trying to get the shot away, edge of the D. Tonali gets it clear and sends it forward for Isak to try and run onto. Can't keep that one under control, or does he just keep it in? No, it goes out of play on the far side for a throw-in. So just completing that Chelsea starting 11, Lavia and Caicedo in front of that back four with Pedro Neto, Palmer. He's just put Chelsea 2-1 up, and we will have a pause in play here because Colwell's gone down on the far side and might require a bit of treatment here, the Chelsea defender. Madueke on the right. Jackson, the scorer of Chelsea's first goal up front. Newcastle and change from there, 11 in the first half. A reminder, no Anthony Gordon for them today. He is out with a groin strain. Pope in goal. He's just seen the ball flash past him from that Cole Palmer shot. Livramento, Share, Byrne and Hall, the back four for Newcastle. Tonali, Guimaraes, Joelinton in front of them. Almiron on the right, Barnes on the left instead of Gordon. Isak, Newcastle's goal scorer, through the middle. And already it feels like another mountain to climb for Newcastle in this second half, Mark Warburton.
It could be a very long second half indeed. You saw there Joe Linton, no doubt about his pace, his power as an athlete there, but Caicedo came across, robbed him of the ball. Joe Linton's there with his arms in the air while Chelsea attacked and caused another real threat to Newcastle. So they look quicker, stronger, sharper to the ball. They want it far more than their opponent.
They are up for this, Chelsea. Madueke, cross from the left, header off the post by Pedro Neto. It was a great cross from the left from Madueke, and Pedro Neto jumped cleanly, jumped high by that left-hand post. Headed that one perfectly, straight though at that left-hand post, Mark.
No, great delivery, good timing and movement as well by Neto. Got a good contact, unlucky not to get the third Chelsea goal, but this really is down to Chelsea now. If they want to, they could take Newcastle to the sword. They're so dominant in all areas. We said it throughout the first half, Maz, and nothing has changed. Nothing
has changed. We've yet to play 5 minutes yet of this second half, so seconds still really into this second half, and Newcastle scrambling already. Joe Linton losing his footing, the ball sent straight back to Chelsea then by Dan Burn, picked up by Cole on the halfway line. Worth saying, of course, that Chelsea will be attacking towards their own fans in this second half, as will Newcastle, of course. They are attacking the shed end, the away side, in the second half, so playing from right to left as we watch Chelsea attacking towards the right. And Cole Palmer has already found the back of the net for them in this second half, and he's just gone down just inside the Newcastle half, and Chelsea pick up possession just on the halfway line.
I think it's really important for Chelsea here. I mean, they're 2-1 ahead, they're dominant, but we know that there may be a set piece or a loose goal from Newcastle. They need to maintain intensity to their play. When they move the ball with that pace and purpose, they look so dangerous.
And a mistake by Colwell sort of deflected the ball off Isak, and the Newcastle forward was interested, but Reece James, club captain, was there to mop that one up and get rid of the danger. Ball went out of play for a throw-in just on this near side touchline, taken quickly by Newcastle. Feels like they have so much to do already in the second half, despite only going behind to that one goal again. The way they have started the second half is so in contrast to how Chelsea have, and they're on the ball again. Caicedo, Jackson. Now Madueke tried to almost place the ball through the legs of Lewis Hall there. Didn't quite get enough pace there to really test Nick Pope.
Tremendous work again, that time Lavia, but Lavia and Caicedo are dealing with it. They're screening the defenders so well, they're snapping at the tackle and emerging with the ball, and they're just totally dominating play in the midfield area. Give it to Palmer, and away goes the attacking quality.
So Newcastle trying to play it from the back. Pope to Dan Burn, but it's a loose pass, and he's really put under pressure, Dan Burn, by Nicholas Jackson. Does he keep the ball in play? Referee allows the game to continue, but it's a loose pass from Newcastle that's pounced on by Lavia. And Neto, remember, he's hit the post as well in the last couple of minutes. Could have been a Chelsea third if it wasn't for that header pinging off the left-hand post in the Newcastle area. He's on the ball on the far side, Pedro Neto. Back to Reece James, now Colwell. All of Newcastle's outfield players back in their half, trying to defend yet another Chelsea attack in the second half here on 5 Sports Extra. Ball looped forward by Caicedo, finding Gusto in acres of space. Shot from distance from the D, high and wide, but again, Chelsea players finding themselves in forward positions, not being closed down by this Newcastle defence at the moment.
Fair play to Chelsea, Maz. I mean, you saw Gusto, the right fullback there, goes into that high attacking area and stays there, poses a real problem. Gomes and Joe Linton don't know to mark him or to go and mark the forward player, so they really are committing numbers forward, and but they should be so much further ahead.
They've managed to pick up the ball again in their own half. Newcastle, some loose passing at the moment, and Alexander Isak, the lone outfield player for Newcastle, up in the Chelsea half at the moment. And the play's gone the other way. Back to Pedro Neto down the left-hand side as Chelsea attack in the second half. Tackle goes in from Livramento. Tonali's back there for support for Newcastle. They try to get it clear from the right-hand side. And the free kick, just the edge of their area.
I've got to say, Maz, that you'd love to see the data after the game, but right now Chelsea looks sharper and quicker to everything. Newcastle heavy leg, they look slow, they're losing every challenge, they're not picking up second balls, and it just, as I say, it's a repeat of the first half, but they have to try and change something, albeit from the bench here, they have to change something, Newcastle.
And why is that, do we think, given the fact that obviously Chelsea were the team that played in midweek in the Conference League, and Newcastle haven't played since last week, but they are the side that looks so lethargic and just really off the pace in the first sort of 9 minutes of the second half.
Absolutely, you mentioned quite rightly that Gordon is a big loss to them, but you replaced him with some quality players come into the fold, but Chelsea, maybe players have a point to prove, such as the size and depth of their squad, but they look quicker, stronger, they just want the ball more and they're enjoying their football, and unlike the Newcastle, who could be in for a very long second half here.
And Chelsea again have won back possession, a couple of players really pressing in the centre circle, allowing this Chelsea defence to pick up the ball, and Fofana just puts his toe on top of the ball as Isak tried to make the run forward, easily sends it back to his keeper, and they're going to build again, Chelsea, from the back with Lavia. Such an impact him and Caicedo have had in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Chelsea coming out so quickly, getting the goal, getting their second, moving ahead again in the opening seconds of the second half here on 5 Sports Extra. Here at Stamford Bridge, 2-1 they lead. Still Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0. And still West Ham 0, Manchester United 0 into the second half of those two games as well. Both those are 2 o'clock kickoffs. And Fofana thought he'd won a throw-in for Chelsea. It's given the way of Newcastle. Midway through the Chelsea half on this near side touchline, but again they're forced backwards because they are very out of options at the moment, it seems, Newcastle United. They're
not dealing with it, Maz. Again there you saw Palmer come short, take Shah all the way with him, which leaves Jackson one-on-one with Dan Burn for pace. Then you see Jackson coming short and Neto runs into the space created. They're one-on-one at the back, so I think that lack of pace for Newcastle being exploited really well by Chelsea. They just need to be more clinical.
Chelsea again on the ball down the right hand side with Madueke just in this right hand channel, just assesses his options, tried to feed in Gusto. Right idea, but ball goes straight out of play for a Newcastle goal kick. You know, we mentioned the absence of Anthony Gordon, Mark Warburton. How big is the continued absence of Callum Wilson? You know, again, has yet to play a competitive appearance for Newcastle this season. And again, in the build-up to this match this week, his manager, Eddie Howe, saying he's going to be missing for another couple of games at least.
Such a talented player, such a powerful athlete, such a huge miss for Newcastle, Maz, undoubtedly. He's been dogged by so many injuries, so unfortunate for him. And as I say, watched him play so many times, I've been such an admirer, but a huge loss for Newcastle and for England as well. There's no doubt about his quality and what he can achieve.
Madueke found again down the right as Chelsea attack from left to right in front of us in the second half. Again, he was unmarked. Joe Linton back, tries to win back possession and does. Back to Byrne, then back to Joe Linton. Now Guimaraes. Barnes down the left, but way back in his own half. Forced back to Joe Linton, who tries the crossfield pass to Tino Livramento, who's trying to make the run forward down the right hand side, but Chelsea get it back. Gusto, loose pass from him though, and Barnes picks it up. Isak running into this in the area, a couple of yards out from the dead ball line, headed off the goal line by Chelsea. Really dangerous floating ball that from Alexander Isak. Still the danger is there for Newcastle, for Chelsea to defend, and eventually they win the free kick going down in the area. But that was a really dangerous cut back there from Isak. Really difficult for that Chelsea defence to deal with. Again, out of nowhere from Newcastle.
Absolutely, he dug it out, didn't he? Dug it over the keeper, Sanchez, to the far post there. Good defending by James, but it was a good chance for Newcastle. Again, it's a repeat of the first half, Maz. Chelsea, it's almost too easy for them right now. You mentioned the loose pass by Madueke just there from a good area. Chelsea have got to be clinical, more ruthless, and just maximise all their possession and their quality.
They really are on top, but as we saw in the first half, one moment can allow Newcastle back into this game, and we know that they will continue to press. Coming up to an hour played here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea still with the lead, and Cole Palmer, their goal scorer in the second half, on the ball at the moment. Over on the far side, on the left, is Chelsea attack, and Pedro Neto's just gone down off the ball, just inside the far side touchline. Back on his feet now. I wonder if there was too much in that. It was away from the ball, but he is back on his feet now. Cole Palmer on the ball at the moment. Lavia. Crossfield pass to an unmarked Madueke again. Now Casado, so comfortable for these Chelsea players at the moment. The options for passes are all there as Newcastle just failing to press at the moment. Gets the cross into the area, header goes up from Gusto. And some Chelsea players behind the goal were cheering. I think a couple of them thought that it just floated its way in. It was just wide, but again, another opportunity for Chelsea. Newcastle just failing to close down these Chelsea players going forward at the moment.
It's far too early, Maz. I think the Chelsea players felt that was a corner more than a goal kick. Came off of the shoulder of the defender, but they're moving the ball around a defensive third. Newcastle aren't tight. They're not closing them down, not denying them cross opportunities, and we really should expect the third goal to come very quickly.
And Casado and Lavia having such an impact on this game in the second half, really controlling that midfield. Nice ball forward from Casado to Cole Palmer. And in trying to get it under control, he sent it backwards to the black and white shirts of Newcastle. Still the dark jerseys of Chelsea, though, rush forward in the Newcastle final third at the moment in this second half here on 5 Sports Extra. 2-1, Chelsea lead here at Stamford Bridge. Ball in their possession over on the far side. Cole Palmer again, just forced out by Tonali, who tracks him, but he sends it backwards. And still Chelsea have possession in Newcastle's half. Switching play now to this right hand side with Fofana. The fans sensing that their team really are on top at the moment, need to hammer home their advantage and try and find a third perhaps. Crossfield ball from Colwell, straight though at Livramento, and finally Newcastle have some possession in their defensive line.
I'd say one player has been probably below par today for Chelsea has been Colwell in terms of his decision making in possession and a little bit loose out possession defensively. We know the quality he has undoubtedly, but not his best afternoon so far.
Isak on the ball at the moment for Newcastle. Can they build a little bit of play here, the away team? Barnes thought he was brought down. Chelsea managed to get it clear, edge of their own area. Back to Cher though, in the centre circle for Newcastle. Black and white shirts getting forward probably for the first time properly in this second half, and it's taken 15 minutes for them to try and build a sustained period of possession here. Livramento over on the far side, down that right, as Newcastle attack in the second half. Now
this is the problem, Maz. So look at Cole Palmer. He's not having to go back all the way, but he just adopts his position half and half. And the moment the ball turns over, he's the outlet for Chelsea. Here he is again.
And he's
no one's marking
again
him.
Because no one was marking him. And Jackson feeds the ball to him. And now Chelsea on the attack again. Palmer over the halfway line, feeding it to Neto over on that left-hand side. Livramento's back, as is Guimaraes. The two Newcastle players forcing Neto to go backwards. But still it's with Chelsea. Still it's in the Newcastle half, and still Chelsea with the possession, with the advantage, with the goal advantage, trying to increase that at the moment. Fofana out to an unmarked Madueke on this right hand side, just checked back Chelsea. Casado and Lavia, who goes down under a challenge, but the referee allows play to continue, and this is very, very comfortable work on the ball for Chelsea at the moment. Cross coming in from Reece James into the 6-yard area of Newcastle's box. Gusto making the run forward, but Nick Pope quickly out to gather that one.
This is the problem with Chelsea, Maz. Really, they're their own master of the downfall, so to speak. If they get sloppy with the decision making the final pass, if they lose the intensity of the ball movement, then I think you just give Newcastle a slight opening. It's so comfortable, so easy for them, almost too easy right now.
A reminder how dreadful Newcastle's record is here at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. Only one win for Newcastle here at Stamford Bridge in the league in their last 29 matches, coming back in May 2020. And they lost here as well when they played in the league last season. And at the moment, as Mark Warburton shakes his head, they have absolutely got no idea how to deal with this Chelsea press at the moment. But a couple of players combining there, Tonali and now Guimaraes, and this is an opportunity perhaps for a Newcastle equaliser. Now it's to Barnes on the left hand side, moves more centrally into the D, but Lavia is there just to check his run, and then Barnes gives away the free kick as Chelsea were scrambling back to try and stop that attack.
I think you look at it there, I mean, Chelsea were quite prepared to let Dan Burn have the ball for the first part of that possession. and then they pressed really hard and they had no options, as you rightly said, and it turns over once again. They're giving the ball back to Chelsea so easily. The only way Newcastle get back in this game is through Chelsea being sloppy with the ball.
Chelsea have won a free kick in their own half. Harvey Barnes may have been booked for... It was Lavia actually, sorry, who got booked because he kicked the ball directly at Harvey Barnes just after the referee had blown the whistle just to pause the game. So unsportsmanlike conduct for that yellow card for Lavia, which is probably the only negative in what has been a very impressive second half performance from the Chelsea midfielder. Thrown for Newcastle on this near side touchline, a few yards inside the Chelsea half, taken by Hall. Back with Dan Burn. No options going forward, so sends it back to Cher midway through the Newcastle half. And again, Nicholas Jackson's up there pressing, as is Cole Palmer, as is Madueke, who forces the ball out of play on this near side touchline for another throw-in.
We have to expect changes by Newcastle here, some activity on the bench, Maz, but they need to have an outlet, forward outlet. At the moment, there's no real running, there's no real options to play on the ball, and the defenders, Burn and Shaw, are really being exposed by this.
No other goals to tell you about in the Premier League, but a couple of scores to bring you up to date with in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic are leading at Motherwell 1-0, and it's Rangers 1, St Mirren 1 at the moment as well in their match. Joel Linton on the ball, left-hand side of the area. Free kick for Newcastle. Madueke judged to have brought down Lewis Hall as Newcastle were trying to go on the attack. So this is probably going to be their first real opportunity. Can they make the most of this, Mark? Because we saw a couple of corners that they didn't quite make the most of towards the end of the first half.
No, have to maximise it. As you saw there, Madueke got caught the wrong side of Hall, and again Hall was going about his business this afternoon, one of Newcastle's best performers, very solid in what he's doing here. Got the wrong side of Madueke and gets pulled back, and the Chelsea player gets the yellow card. But a really dangerous area here, 25 yards out.
Yeah, 25 yards out, as Mark Warburton says, just the sort of left-hand side of the D, just slightly past the left-hand edge of that, so not too far out towards the left as Newcastle attack towards their own fans in the shed end in the second half. And there's a bit of a meeting, a bit of a chat going on with 4 or 5 Newcastle players about how best they're going to take this free kick. Shares around the ball, as is Hall, as is Tonali, as is Isak. Dan Burns up for this set piece opportunity, trying to perhaps make the most of his height. And Tonali has joined him now, so just the 3 Newcastle players around this free kick at the moment.
Looks like a lot of changes coming for Newcastle as well, Maz. 3 changes on an impact, 3 attacking players coming on.
Yeah, we're going to have 3 Newcastle subs shortly. But what are they going to do with this free kick? Sher direct over the crossbar. Sanchez watched it go. It was perhaps close enough to give him something to think about, but unable to get that one on target.
No, you want to see him test the keeper, don't you? At least make him make a save here. But I think they've had to make some changes. 1 for Chelsea, 3 for Newcastle. They have to change something, Newcastle, here.
Yeah, so the first substitution actually made in this second half is a Chelsea one. Madueke
And he will be replaced by number 10, Isham Mudryk.
Is going to be replaced by Mikhailo Mudryk. And then the 3 Newcastle substitutions, a triple sub, as Mark Warburton was saying. Looks like
Triple substitution.
Harvey Barnes, one of the players to go off. Also
28, Joe Willock. Replacing number 24, Miguel.
also going to have Miguel Almiron leaving as well, and also Tonali. So 3 Newcastle players going off: Tonali, Barnes and Almiron. 3 to come on. Sean Longstaff, also Jacob Murphy and Joe Willock. So he really has seen enough, hasn't he? A triple substitution is as an emphatic statement as you can make from a manager's perspective, I guess, Mark.
No, but he had to change it, as he was saying. It was almost inviting Chelsea, and they got the lead. They could sit there and try and hold on to the lead, but they got too much quality, and the third goal was almost just around the corner, so to speak. So he had to change something, Eddie, and he's done that. So let's see how they impact the game. 68
minutes played then. Still time for Newcastle to try and get something back from this game. Let's see how this triple substitution might change things for Eddie Howe's team. He's standing at the edge of his technical area, the Newcastle head coach, arms folded, resting his head on his hands at the moment. A lot of thinking for him to do, because Newcastle have offered very little in this second half. On the ball at the moment on the far side. It'll take a few minutes for this triple substitution to bed in.
It'll be interesting for England's perspective as well as Chelsea's here, Maz, about Cole Palmer. He's really enjoying and relishing this freedom that he's finding in this 10 position, finding so much space between the units. It shows you the quality that he possesses, there's no doubt about that, and how he might impact club and country.
I mean, he probably is. Certainly when you look at the result from El Clasico last night, Mark, he is probably England's in-form player at the moment, you'd say?
He really is. Obviously, I mean, Jude Bellingham at the moment has not scored for Real Madrid after the fantastic first season he had, but I just think finding the right position to maximise the qualities that Cole Palmer undoubtedly has.
Nice ball from Isak. It was a nice idea anyway, trying to feed Joe Willock just into the areas and made the run. The substitute just on for Newcastle in the last couple of minutes. 20 minutes to go then here at Stamford Bridge on 5 Sports Extra. Chelsea back in front again. And you look like at the moment, with the way that this second half is playing out, they're more likely to extend their lead than for Newcastle to find an equaliser. But ball's back for Sanchez as he tried to roll it out to Gusto. Does find Jackson, who tries to feed that one forward then. But Newcastle defenders pick it up with Guimaraes, edge of the centre circle. Then Jackson pushes him over, concedes the free kick. More
frustration, I think, from Jackson. He expected Neto to make that forward run for his flick, and Neto didn't move from the wide area. So I think the frustration gave the free kick away there.
Isak feeding out to Joe Linton again down this left-hand side, and now Willock just on the field getting involved. Dangerous cutback, and Isak almost with the header. It's blocked by Chelsea defenders, couple of yards outside their own goal line, just as we saw earlier in the second half, and just as we saw in the first half when they equalised. A rare moment again for Newcastle, but it really was a dangerous one for that Chelsea defence.
Huge chance. It's a carbon copy of the first half in all aspects here. Chelsea dominant, and again Newcastle get that chance, and unlike the first half when Isak took it, that one they squandered somewhat, but a fantastic chance to level the game up.
I think it's Reece James who blocks that shot from Isak. If he was not there, that would have gone into the back of the Chelsea net, and it would have been Newcastle level again. So from a Chelsea perspective, they've still got to push and try and find a third. Another dangerous moment for them in the second half. Newcastle, Jacob Murphy just come on the field, on the ball over on the far side. Now back with Guimaraes. Dan Burr now in the centre circle. So Newcastle forced back by Chelsea in the Chelsea half, but Joel Linton finding much more of the ball down the left hand side in this second half.
This is better though, Maz. This is better. They're having quality ball. They're picking up second balls when Chelsea clear. They're moving around the defensive third and look more of a threat. So this is probably, for me, the best part of Newcastle's game so far.
Guimaraes sweeping the ball over onto the far side. They can't keep that one under control, and it goes straight out of play, that Newcastle attack, for a Chelsea goal kick. Another Chelsea substitution coming onto the field. Romeo Lavia, second sub made by Enzo Maresca in this match, and rightly Lavia is getting applauded by the Stamford Bridge crowd. He's had a brilliant performance in the second half. Maybe perhaps as he come off, just to, you've also got that yellow card now, perhaps it's maybe lingering in the mind that caution he picked up. There might be something maybe that Enzo Maresca just had in his mind when he's made that sub.
Yeah, just to look after the player, I think, Maz, and to maintain the intensity and the energy to their play. But I thought he's been superb for Chelsea in the first part of this game, so he deserves all the plaudits there.
So Enzo Fernandez, the second Chelsea substitution made in this match, bringing on fresh legs, trying to push the game. West Ham United have taken the lead. That's what you were gesturing at when you're just pointing at your screen there, Mark. West Ham United taking the lead against Manchester United. Crescencio Somerville, that feels like an enormous goal for both those teams, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. It had a draw written all over it. Both teams couldn't afford to lose that game, but this is a big moment now for Man U. The last 50 minutes of that game will be so critically important.
We'll keep an eye on that for you here on 5 Sports Extra. You can listen to that one, of course, over on BBC Radio 5 Live. Scoreline in the other 2 o'clock kickoff remains the same. Palace 1, Tottenham 0. So coming up to the last 15 minutes in both those matches. We're just a couple of minutes behind here at Stamford Bridge, 73 minutes on the clock, and Chelsea building again from the back. Gusto over the halfway line, shows too much of that to Guimaraes. Slightly more urgency now in this Newcastle play in the second half. Now Willock. Can't find a Newcastle shirt in the area. Partially cleared by Chelsea. Lewis Hall tries to get that one under control. Goes up for a Chelsea throw-in, which Gusto takes quickly. Now Casado.
Must be so frustrating for the Newcastle fans, obviously Eddie and his staff, but suddenly they're showing more urgency, more intensity, they're running harder and they're winning the challenges, Maz. They haven't done it for the first 70 odd minutes, so very frustrating. They've got it in the ranks to do it, but clearly Chelsea have been a dominant team so far.
Chelsea on the ball, seeing lots of it again inside the Newcastle half. Forced back though. Fofana to Sanchez just outside his area. Sends it forward as Isak was just trying to put him under a little bit of pressure, and the mistake again from the Chelsea keeper goes straight out of play for a Newcastle throw, and that's maybe the fourth or fifth time we've seen a mistake of that kind from Robert Sanchez in this match.
At this Premier League level is the keepers are so important, so vitally important now for starting all your forward, your attacks, and I've got to say the distribution from Sanchez this afternoon hasn't been at Premier League level. So
Newcastle gifted the ball back really in their own half, sending it forward now for Isak to try to run onto. Chelsea want the free kick. Still Isak has it in the area. Can he get it to a teammate just outside the edge of the 6-yard box? Sean Longstaff was there, and Chelsea players are absolutely furious with the referee because they feel that there was a push in the back by Isak there as he ran onto the ball and then into the Chelsea area. They almost stopped playing because they were expecting the whistle to come.
They did, but Sanchez has to come for the ball. We just mentioned his distribution. I haven't seen a replay yet, Maz, but surely he has to come. He hesitated, allowed Isak. So there's a slight shove, but keep playing to the whistle. Sanchez delays it, and how he's not laid that ball back to score, I don't know. Eddie Howe will be absolutely fuming.
Sean Longstaff was there as the corner comes in from Newcastle and is put clear, but Sean Longstaff was making the run into the area for that cutback from Isak, as was Joe Willock. Couldn't find either of them, and we've got a player down here now just in the Chelsea area, so we will have a slight pause in play. But I guess is that the rustiness of Isak as well. It's been a month really since he's seen any football ahead of last weekend. We're just having a look at this incident here. I think it's Enzo Fernandez who goes down in the area when Newcastle taking that corner, and looking again at that push. I mean, how much is in that push, do you think, from Isak there?
The referee has let stuff go this afternoon. I think he's been fairly consistent and had a decent game. As I'm surprised by the reaction of Chelsea players. You play to the whistle, of course, but Isak, yeah, you're right, he's been out for a few weeks, but he has to be better. What a great opportunity there to level the game up.
So some danger moments for Chelsea to think about in this second half from Newcastle, despite the dominance of the game, just seeing more of the ball in the last few minutes. And there are some nervy Chelsea fans sitting around us here high up in the gantry at Stamford Bridge. Guimaraes finding damp Sean Longstaff up now, the Newcastle substitute, but the pass of quality isn't a good one over onto the far side. Chelsea feed it back to them once more, Newcastle, and they can go again.
All we're seeing is Newcastle suddenly do the basics far better. The snapping and the tackles. Wagstaff gave it away, but won the ball back immediately. And it's just that intensity and that desire to win the ball, which was so sadly lacking in the first 70 minutes.
Gusto's gone down in the Chelsea area. Frustration again from the Chelsea fans that Simon Hooper hasn't penalised Newcastle for that. We're going to have another Chelsea substitution here. It's going to be Gusto, who is going to be the player who's going to be replaced. Cucurella back available today, is going to come on then for the last 12 and a half minutes or so, plus stoppage time in this match. More Chelsea substitutions as well.
Without being cynical here, Madge, I think Chelsea, the manager, very keen to slow things down here and take the sting out of Newcastle. Suddenly Newcastle are winning challenges and playing forward with more purpose, and I think they're very keen to slow them down.
Yeah, the momentum's shifted in the last few minutes. Another Chelsea substitution as well, double substitution. Nicholas Jackson, scorer of Chelsea's first goal, has been subbed as well, so the third sub made by Enzo Maresca, and he was replaced by Christopher Nkunku. And as you said about the strength and depth of this Chelsea squad, Mark, I mean, to have the capabilities to bring on subs of the quality of Enzo Fernandez in this second half, Christopher and Nkunku, Mark Cucurella, just to try and get some momentum back in this game, because Newcastle have seen more of the ball in the last 10 minutes or so.
Absolutely, I mean, that's the frustration for Eddie and the Newcastle fans, as we mentioned, but what a strength in depth. You're bringing on players of 50, 80, 100 million pounds players to try and change it, so it's a magnificent amount of quality in that Chelsea squad here, but they've got to see out this last 10, 12, 15 minutes because it'll be so vitally important for them.
And almost a mistake from Reece James. Joel Linton was really charging him down, had the ball in his own area, manages to get it clear, but it's not as an assured Chelsea performance in the last 10 minutes or so as we've seen for much of this match. 79 minutes played now here on 5 Sports Extra. Manchester United have just equalised, by the way, at the London Stadium. Casemiro, the 81st minute, so it's 1-1 there.
Interesting, as they're giving Reece James, it looks like a full 90 here after his own long injury layoff. Just to get him back on for the full 90 would be great for him to see all the Chelsea fans, of course, for the squad as a whole. Yeah,
he managed about 55 minutes, I think, from memory at Anfield last Sunday. That's his first start here at Stamford Bridge for nearly a year for Reece James. And he has, on the whole, put in a really good performance for his side today. Mudryk to Caicedo, loops the ball over to this right-hand side to Pedro Neto, who's come out to this right-hand touchline in this second half. Then with James, who's further forward, and Caicedo finds Pedro Neto, who's just made the dart away from Lewis Hall, but then they can't dig that one into the area, Chelsea, and they're forced back by Newcastle again. Feels like the last few minutes, maybe these Chelsea subs have just put the momentum back in favour of the home side at the moment, Mark.
Yeah, they have done, I think, but again, Chelsea need to respond and just take care of the football, look after it, try and dominate possession for this last 10 minutes. But again, you saw Fernandez loosely give it away, and now Newcastle attacking again. And
off they go down the right, Newcastle, tracked by Cucurella, Tino Livramento. Now with Willock, pretty central, a couple of yards outside the D, as they attack from right to left in the second half towards the shed end, towards their own fans. Willock's fed the ball back again by Hall. Then Guimaraes, now Hall again. Chelsea really trying to close the spaces, not allow Newcastle as many options as they try and chase the equaliser in this game. We're into the last 10 minutes here now. And Newcastle eventually are forced back again. And this is going to be perhaps the pattern on play for Chelsea in the last 10 minutes, Mark.
No, it is, but we're seeing here now suddenly Newcastle keeping decent possession, picking up the challenges. Here's the threat now. Cole Palmer getting forward, and Nkunku with his pace and power. Chelsea committing blue shirts forward.
Here you go, Chelsea. Cole Palmer and Nkunku into the area, back to Palmer. Squares it to Mudryk, blocked by Nick Pope. That was the chance of the third. That was the save from Nick Pope. He blocked the shot, and Newcastle are able to get it clear.
And they're in the game still. That was a chance to finish the game off for sure. Here we are with a good 9 minutes and some added time to play as well. Newcastle know they're in this game.
Willock to Longstaff, the two substitutes for Newcastle in the second half, combining on the halfway line. Back to Dan Burn. Chance of come on Chelsea around all 4 sides of Stamford Bridge here now, because they understand the situation. Chelsea with the 2-1 lead, but this game is far from done and dusted. Longstaff to Guimaraes, who goes down under a challenge from Fernandez.
Good feed from the midfielder there, Guimaraes. Sold a Chelsea player, but again they've got free kick in decent area, and they're dominating possession here for these last few minutes of the game.
So Lewis Hall looks like he's going to be the player that's going to take this just to the edge of the centre circle in the Chelsea half, so way far out for Newcastle to attack, but very central. Once more, Dan Burn's gone up for it, just trying to keep an eye on that Chelsea back line. He's been marked by Reece James, can't get his head on that, and Newcastle again not making the most of a free kick opportunity.
You're watching Chelsea players, and again, they're just slowing the game down and killing a little bit of time here and taking what time they can. But there's still a long way to go yet. We've got a good 8 minutes, 7 minutes on the clock, and the added time. So they've got to be careful, Chelsea.
Reece James just went down as he was trying to challenge for the ball with big Dan Burn there. And that's what the referee Simon Hooper blew his whistle for. So we are coming up to the last 6.5 minutes plus stoppage time here. It is still Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1. And Simon Hooper's just having a word with Robert Sanchez here about the length of time he is taking to take this free kick. And in fact, the Chelsea keeper has been booked for time wasting. So that just really sums up how the momentum of this game has shifted a little bit in the second half, and that Chelsea cannot get the job done, get the third goal, and Newcastle is still in this, and that was another mistake, another ball straight out of play by Robert Sanchez.
I've got to say, that just kills momentum. He gives any chance of having the ball, he gives it straight out of touch there. Mudryk can't collect it, and the ball goes back to Newcastle. The manager cannot be happy with this. The basic aspect of play that all afternoon really has been below par from the goalkeeper. So
we're into the last 6 minutes here, a little bit further along in the two matches, other two 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. It is still Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0, West Ham 1, Manchester United 1 at the London Stadium. So both those matches pretty finely poised as well, as we are here at Stamford Bridge. Share on the ball on the far side to Willock. Now Longstaff tries to pick out Joel Linton. Crossfield pass down this left-hand side in front of us as Newcastle attack the shed in the second half. In front of us, they take the throw in quickly. Hall to Joe Linton. Now it's back with Hall. Loose pass that from the Newcastle player, and in trying to win the ball, Newcastle give away the free kick, and Chelsea will be just happy to let the seconds tick by and take their time taking this free kick deep in their own half.
We've seen it all the time now, as again this time Fofana just taking his time to get up, killing a few seconds, but they're still trying to play. Interested to see what the added time will be. Which it's interesting to talk about the subs as well. You know, you want your subs to come on and make an impact, and fair play to Newcastle. He made the changes, Eddie, and Wagstaff's come on and been very impressive. You know, he's worked hard, he's won tackles, sprayed the ball and kept possession well, so fair play to the substitutes.
Into the last 5 minutes. Free kick taken long, and it's picked up now by Pedro Neto, and he's into the Newcastle area, and he can't quite get that one under control, and it bubbles up onto the turf and into the hands of Nick Pope. The other interesting sort of talking point with these two sides, Mark, is that they meet again in a few days' time, Wednesday night in the League Cup, and it's quite rare, isn't it, to have back-to-back meetings in that way as they go down the attack. Tino Livramento down the right-hand side for Newcastle, just forced out towards the byline by Colwell, and Newcastle forced back towards the halfway line. It's a bit of a funny one, isn't it, to play each other back-to-back in league and then cup games in the League Cup. You know, what do you think both sides will have learnt about each other from this afternoon's game heading into that one on Wednesday? I
think we'll see two completely different lineups, that's for sure. As you mentioned about Chelsea and Panathinaikos in a week and making 9 changes, I think we'll see the same again. Complete shift change in terms of the personnel, and it'll use the depth of the squads.
Commentary of that game, by the way, from St James's Park in the League Cup between Newcastle and Chelsea for all place in the quarterfinals, is also live on 5 Live Sport. We'll have coverage of all of those League Cup matches for you in the round of last 16, as again Robert Sanchez takes his time to take the goal kick. Chelsea trying to see out the seconds in this match. 2-1 they still lead, and Giresh has lost the ball edge of his own area, and Nkunku on the ball, moving this way and that in the area, and Cole Palmer's so frustrated that he wasn't fed in by his teammate. He's saying he was free. Christopher Nkunku trying to take on the chance himself, and Cole Palmer very frustrated. He felt it was 3 on the left hand side of the area.
He was good feet initially by Nkunku, but you saw him apologise to Palmer there. He was in so much space, a simple pass there, and I think Cole Palmer would have finished the game off completely, so his frustration was evident, but that's forward play for you.
So 2.5 minutes plus stoppage time to play here. Remember, Chelsea with a really good chance for a third shortly after Cole Palmer put them ahead again in this match. Pedro Neto in the left-hand post with a great header that bounced off the post emphatically. And Newcastle with a free kick just in the centre circle. Again, Dan Burn has got forward for the set-piece opportunity for Newcastle. Tries to head that one down, and now Longstaff following up, tries to chase that one. Ball goes out of play. Newcastle want the corner. Instead, it's going to be another Chelsea goal kick.
But you can see the Newcastle fans, as in terms of their reaction, they appreciate the effort. Their Longstaff is chasing everything down, harrying it down, and they want to see that from their players. So they're doing the basics really well, and fair play to them. They've made that impact.
Another couple of subs for Newcastle in this match in the last few minutes, as we're coming into a minute plus stoppage time at the end of this game, and the two players going to be replaced. Joel Linton and Lewis Hall coming on in their place. William Osula and Lloyd Kelly.
Replacing number 20, Lewis Hall.
And as you said earlier, Mark, Lewis Hall has probably been one of Newcastle's brightest sparks in this match as we come up to 90 minutes played here at Stamford Bridge.
Really impressed, man. He's gone about his business quiet, unassuming. He's been very effective in what he's done. He quietened down Madueke, who's been in really fine form, but he limited his opportunities going forward. So he had a really good game.
And Nkunku running onto the ball into the area, tracked by Dan Burn. Does he go down? Is that a penalty? Simon Hooper says yes. Dan Burn, they're coming together with Nkunku, who had the pace, who got ahead of him. And Simon Hooper says he was brought down. Dan Burn is not happy about that decision.
I thought it was soft, man. For the first view, I'd like to see the replay here for sure, but look at the reaction of the Newcastle players. I felt it was soft.
Yeah, Simon Hooper surrounded by 3 or 4 Newcastle players. Yellow card's gone up for dissent. We're just having another look here at the replay, Mark, and Nkunku does get the edge on Dan Burn. It's a very light shirt tug there.
It's very light at best. It's soft at best there. And Nkunku goes down so very easily there. I think it's if it's been given and it's VAR maintained, I think it's a very soft award.
And as you speak, you hear there over the tannoy behind us at Stamford Bridge, there is a VAR check on this penalty that's been given on the field for Chelsea. This is one of these ones that one of these ones though, Mark, which we say is subjective, because on the field Simon Hooper has given it, and we're told now that VAR officials are going to have a lighter touch in the game this season.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we're watching it here and we're a little bit undecided ourselves, having watched it 3, 4, 5 times on the replay. So Simon Hooper's view may well have been that he saw the penalty, but when we look at this shot here, it's momentum. He good cut back by Nkunku, but it's momentum. He's really gone down so very easily. It's soft at best if it's given here, Maz.
Well, lengthy VAR check, and the board's gone up for 6 minutes of stoppage time as well at the end of this match, as the officials look again at this potential penalty. And Simon Hooper has made the indication that's been told by Stockley Park officials, by Jared Gillett, to go and have a look at the pitch side monitor. And we normally, not always, but we normally know what this means, Mark Warburton.
It is soft, as I said. We've had the benefit of watching it back so many times now, Maz, but as I say, I think it's purely momentum. The player went down so very easily, and Dan Burn's reaction was fully justified in my opinion.
Yeah, it was very even coming together, in truth. In a sense, Christopher Nkunku had as much of Dan Burn's shirt as Dan Burn had of his. Goes down in the area, Christopher Nkunku. And, well, good to see Simon Hooper's having a couple of looks at this, just as we did. And the decision comes, and it is no penalty. Yeah. And probably the right decision there, do you think, Mark?
I think so, very much. Simon Hooper had a view and he made a call. That's why VAR is used. It should be a quick decision. Very little contact there. It was purely momentum, and both players, as you rightly said, had hold of each other there. So it would have been soft at best had it been given.
Well, Cole Palmer is protesting, but Simon Hooper has made up his mind there. So it's going to be a Newcastle free kick in their own area, and obviously there's a sense of urgency for Nick Pope to send this one forward. Into stoppage time, as I mentioned, we played 2 of the allocated 6 at the end of this match, but we will have more, because we obviously had that pause in play there for that VAR check on a potential penalty for Chelsea. An opportunity potentially to put them 3-1 up, to put this match to bed, and that has been overturned, and Newcastle still has something to chase in this game.
This is so unnecessary for the fans. They should be enjoying a really good performance by their home team here, Maz. But right now, there's feelings of concern and worry, because Newcastle will get one more chance, we think.
Although Chelsea do have a chance here, and Nkunku judged to have been fouled. tag teamed almost by two Newcastle players. So this will be a free kick midway through Newcastle's half on the right hand side, just level with the edge of the 18-yard box, just this right hand corner, and Cole Palmer takes it out to Pedro Neto down this right hand channel just in front of us here as we watch here high up in the gantry at Stamford Bridge into stoppage time. 3 minutes of the 6 played, but we will play on, we will play more because of that disallowed penalty a couple of minutes ago for Chelsea for Christopher Nkunku. Newcastle tried to partially get it clear, and then it's pushed forward again by Colwell, straight out of play for a throw-in on this near side touchline. I think some of the home supporters feel that was a wasted opportunity from Colwell. And then Guimaraes goes down under a challenge, and Nkunku picks up the ball and wanted to go off on the attack, and Simon Hooper blows his whistle and shows the yellow card to Nkunku. And also the very dramatic throwing himself to the turf of Cole Palmer, who was free and wanted the pass from Nkunku to try and get his second and Chelsea's third in this match. And in his exasperation of throwing himself to the turf, he's almost injured himself there. Cole Palmer is limping away from the situation. Very unhappy with that decision from Simon Hooper.
I've got to say, the moment I said Simon Hooper had a decent game, as I think I've cursed him because he's had a few poor ones, and that there Nkunku nicked the ball from a dithering Guimaraes. I didn't see that as a free kick, and clearly the fans felt the same way.
And so did Enzo Maresca, who's very unhappy, pacing the edge of his technical area. Nervy last few minutes here for the Chelsea boss at Stamford Bridge. This win, as it is at the moment, would take Chelsea into the top 4, ahead of course of Arsenal, above them on goal difference. Arsenal of course in action in the half 4 game today against Liverpool, a match you can hear in full on 5 Live Sport. So despite the defeat for Chelsea at Anfield last weekend, to be in the top 4 at this stage in the season with new players and a new team for Enzo Maresca, that would be a brilliant statement.
That'd be a tremendous start to the season for them. As I say, they've shown some real qualities. He's adopted a philosophy. Sorry, delay here.
Nkunku free on the counter. Newcastle most outfield players back, and only 2 back there defending, but the pass wasn't the right option from the substitute Christopher Nkunku, and he stands there with his hands on his hips, edge of the Newcastle D, but he didn't quite get that one right.
No, he hasn't had the best of impact so far since coming on Nkunku, has he? But you can hear the frustration of the fans here. They know they should be out of sight. Suddenly Newcastle have a free kick, and there's still a good couple of minutes to play here.
Yeah, we're into 5.5 minutes of stoppage time played, but we will play on a few more minutes, you imagine, because of that couple of minutes pause for that VAR check. Free kick taken by Newcastle by Lloyd Kelly just inside the Newcastle half, lofted up towards the edge of the Chelsea 18-yard box. Cleared again by Fernandes that time, but Nick Pope all the way outside of his area, up midway through the Newcastle half, sends that one forward. But that one goes straight out of play on this near side touchline, and that will be a Chelsea throw-in. That's one of the loudest cheered moments of play we've had in the last 10 minutes or so, Mark Warburton.
Yeah, very much so. But just the small details, Matt, is that Cole Palmer, so Hernandez cleared the lines, and Cole Palmer worked so hard to close down Pope and deny him that forward option. He screwed his kick in as a result of that. So well played, Cole Palmer. Just
to bring you up to speed with the 2 other games kicking off at 2 o'clock in the Premier League, full time at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace have beaten Tottenham for a valuable win in the Premier League for Oliver Glasner. But how about this for a scoreline in the 92nd minute, Mark Warburton? West Ham 2, Manchester United 1. Jarrod Bowen penalty in the 92nd minute at the London Stadium.
We mentioned, Matt, what a huge game it is for both clubs, both managers. Obviously the pressure is on both sides there. That's a huge goal, and we know what will happen in terms of the focus on Erik ten Hag.
It never seems to be off him at the moment, does it? Erik ten Hag always under pressure, it seems, and his side trailing at West Ham at the moment. We'll keep you across that, but we have played a minute past the 6 allocated minutes here at Stamford Bridge, here right at the end of this match here on 5 Sports Extra, and you can hear that the whistles coming from most sides of Stamford Bridge because they want the full-time whistle to be blown by Simon Hooper, and still Newcastle perhaps have time for one more opportunity to try and find the equaliser. Ball pushed out of play for a throw-in on the far side, taken quickly by Newcastle. Guimaraes now back with Lloyd Kelly, edge of the centre circle. All of Chelsea's outfield players back, making it really congested. Willock made to run into the area. Cutback was there, but just about is headed clear out for a Newcastle corner. by their captain Reece James, leading from the front right at the end of this match, as he has done throughout.
So unnecessarily nervy this is. You could hear the fans. It was a good chance there, good delivery. Here's the final action of the match, I'd imagine, but they have an opportunity, Maz.
So this is going to be a corner from the left as Newcastle attack towards the shed end in this second half, and it's going to be taken by Jacob Murphy. Is this the last opportunity for Newcastle in this match? Still they trail 2-1. Chelsea at the moment moving into the Premier League top 4. To the near post, headed out by Nkunku. Nick Pope was up there as well, but he couldn't get there, and that is the full-time whistle. And Chelsea have held on, and Chelsea have the win. They have all 3 points, a result which takes them up into the top 4, into those Champions League places, as it stands ahead of that half-full game between Arsenal and Liverpool. Pegged back in the first half by Alexander Isak. Nicholas Jackson putting them ahead in the 18th minute of this match, but then that goal from Cole Palmer right at the start of the second half. The big obvious moment of the second half, Markin, just having to hold on though at the end, Chelsea, because they couldn't get the game out of sight of Newcastle when really they had dominated so many of the chances in the second 45.
No, absolutely. They showed really long periods of domination, long periods of real quality individually as well. We saw the impact of the likes of course, Cole Palmer and what he did in the game, but Casado and Lavia, etc., were really good throughout their performance this afternoon. But again, they made it unnecessarily difficult for themselves, and in truth, Newcastle had a chance right to death to level and take the half the spoils. So it was one of those games where they can learn so much about their squad, but so much quality on show.
So full time here, Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1, a result that moves Chelsea into the top 4, and it's yet another defeat for Newcastle in the Premier League here at Stamford Bridge. The terrible record here at this stadium continues. They still play on at West Ham, by the way. West Ham 2, Manchester United 1, deep into stopper time in that match. You can hear the closing stages of that match over on 5 Live right now, and later at half 4 you can hear full commentary of Arsenal against Liverpool as well. But here at Stamford Bridge it is finished Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1.